we are live. So everybody, I just want to introduce, this is Adam. I've worked with him in the past for the restoration side of things. Anytime I've needed a roof wrap, I've needed tarping services, things of that nature. He's been one of my go-tos and pretty much my regular go-to as of recent. Quick, effective. He's got a lot of knowledge in the game. Definitely enjoyed speaking with him. So I want to give him the platform, let him introduce himself. Go for it, dude.
Hey everybody, I'm Adam Bouchti with SCA Restoration and Construction. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Adam. Appreciate that, man. Love to see the love. It's like you said, quick, effective. We love our job. We know what we're doing. You know, we take care of it, no problem. I mean, we offer mold remediation, shrink wrapping, fire mitigation, whatever it is. You call us, we're there. I mean, storm chasing, whatever we do restoration wise, we've done it all. A little bit about me. I mean, this was not a conventional job for me. I never thought I was going to be hey, I'm going to work for a restoration company. It's my father-in-law's company. I just fell into it. I was actually in college, and I went to American University in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Maryland originally, not from Florida. And I just, was doing internships, and then COVID hit. And I was like, shit, there's no internships. There's no jobs. No one knows what the hell's going on right now. And my father-in-law was like, hey, why don't you try signing up AOBs with me? Back when it was a thing, rest in peace, AOB. But, why don't you try signing up AOBs with me? Why don't you come with me to pick up plastic? Why don't we go drop off some machines at a house together? And just kind of learning the game. And it was fine, He was paying me a little $200 a week, some spending money, go fuck around, we're in college. It's cool. It was my
party money.
Yeah, exactly. He was my father-in-law at the time, but, he treated me like a son. So I loved it. And slowly but surely, I finished school. I graduated, got my degree in economics. I have a degree. And one day he was like, dude, I mean, you've been doing this with me for about a year now. Why don't you try sales and try selling the shit we do? And I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. Fuck it. There's no job prospect right now. I just graduated, dude. I live in Miami. It's
right.
Before COVID, it was kind of cheap, but it's still expensive. I got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do in my life. So it's like, you know what? You try. And man, it took like 2 or 3 months. It takes a long time. And everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to open a MIC company, or I'm going to open a roofing company, and I'm going to get 25 roofs or 10 mold jobs. No, man, It takes a long time. It took me about, minimum 3-4 months of just cold calling on LinkedIn, going on Instagram, 25 phone calls a day, 10 lunch meetings a week, and just keep banging your head on that door. And one day I broke through. I remember it was Thanksgiving. And we were in Atlanta visiting family, and I got 2 shrink wraps, both in Tampa. And I was like, wow, this is, my big break. Finally, I can tell my father, look, man, we got something. And we shrink wrap them. I mean, we build a carrier directly, like every MIC company should be doing. I mean, directly to the carrier. It's free of charge for the homeowner. What are you paying insurance for in Florida, especially with these new laws where, we're dropping your premium, when in reality, it's only going up every year. Even though they banned the AOB, even though they've removed attorney fees, we can get into that later, but, it's all free. So, I mean,
if you look at the benefit of a roof wrap, and that's the thing is like with tile roofs, man, this is, and my background, I had my own tarping company for probably a little over a year, probably close to 2, and still do them. But the biggest pain in the ass is tarping tile. And I've used a bunch of different things. I mean, mostly when I remember the first one that I did, it was just crunch city, dude. Like I was getting up there holding 250-pound bags, like, So when it comes down to the fact having the roof wrap, not only does it preserve the material, that's why I don't understand why the insurance companies, sometimes like I'll talk to insurance adjusters and they're like, I don't like the roof wrap. And I'm like, yeah, because it's expensive, but it works. It preserves the roof. You don't have to worry about, like, let's say they're going to end up with a repair, but like it preserves the majority of that material, and it's less likely there's going to be issues in the duration of that long process of getting that approved.
Correct. And look, man, I mean, at the end of the day, look, shrink wrapping a shingle roof, you don't like it as an insurance adjuster. I get it, man. It's expensive. I know it can glue target, but the shrink wrap is going to last you a year. And on a tile roof where, things are 2 months out from just getting material alone, you have to kind of shrink wrap this thing, man. There's no such thing as glue target.
And that's if you're lucky. 2 months is lucky. That's if you're lucky.
I know it's 6 months right now is the waiting time to get some tile, for some materials. So it's like, dude, let's shrink wrap it right. Because at the end of the day, again, we're all running a business here, right? Everyone wants to make a buck. I get it. You want to make a buck roofing. I want to make a buck shrink wrapping, mold, whatever it is. Everyone wants to make $1.
So, but I first heard of the shrink wrap. Who was it? It was Storm Seal. That was the first time I
Oh,
ever
yeah,
heard about it.
they're one of the
I
first ones
think
doing
that,
it.
that was back in 2020, and I remember hearing about it. You had to get certified to do it. I know there was some roofing companies and roofing installers that were getting certified to do it. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. But I actually, so maybe that's not true. Maybe I heard of it even sooner. I think I was in Georgia at the time, and it was like nobody was going to do it. But the first time I saw it was back down here in 2020. So
Yeah, we've been doing it since 17, believe it or not. We've been doing it since 17 in Miami when Irma hit, and we just found out that was the most effective method with Irma. The Irma didn't even hit Miami directly, and there were thousands of claims. I mean, and a lot of houses in Miami are tile roofs. They're barrel roofs. They're not shingle roofs. You know what I mean?
right,
Like there's up north in Clearwater or Port St. Lucie. No, these roofs are tile roofs. They need the shrink wrap. And it's gonna last a year. And it's built directly to the carrier. Again, it's what I always emphasize. If you're paying home insurance, and I'll give you an example, the bill's 15 grand to shrink wrap a tile roof. Just an example.
right.
And your policy limits are 400 grand. We're not tapping into those limits. Why not protect the asset? And that's what the carrier, I think, is having a hard time with the shrink wrap. You could blue tarp this for 5 grand versus the 15.
Yeah.
But the blue tarp comes off in 2 months because it's a tile roof. They don't last.
The blue tarps are 5 mil. Okay. In some cases they're 4, right?
Yeah.
So they're not even totally waterproof. They're
Exactly.
water resistant because they've got those little perforations in them. And if you're talking about a tile roof, the only way you're putting it, you're not nailing it. You've got it in. You're not. The only way to do that is with a sandbag, which means you're going to use 20 plus sandbags. Okay. And I used to, for a 20 by 30, I used to be able to get away with very well placed 12, sometimes 14 sandbags, like at most. But most of the time, I could do it with anywhere between 10 and 12 because I placed them well. And then I use clips. I use the clips to put them on. They're still a pain in the ass. You're still going to break tiles. It's still not going to last as long, even if I use a 16 mil. So I'll use a 16 mil, but that takes days for me to get because I got to order on Amazon. Nobody stocks it. So the best I can do is maybe 10 or 12. And then you're paying, you're still going to pay 3 to 5 grand for that too. And then you're replacing it the tile gets hot, it withers away.
Exactly.
Doing that. So tell me about the roof wrap. What kind of material is it?
Okay, so a lot of people don't believe it. It's the exact same stuff that goes on boats. It's marine wrap. It's shrink wrap. You see people wrapping their boats in Florida to stow them away, or up north, more like Michigan, they wrap them up to put them away for winter. It's the exact same material, man. You could get 10, you could get 9 mil, you get 12 mil. We recommend during a hurricane 12 mil, just because we don't want to come back. We want to take care of the homeowner correct the first time. I'm a big man of, if I'm going to do a job, I don't want to have to come back to redo the job,
Now, is that 12 mil? Is that the one that I went out to the other coast and I pulled that off of a tile roof once?
Correct.
Okay. Let me just say, that stuff, I've used it. I built framing in the back of my house, and I use that stuff as actually just a covering. I throw my bikes and other materials and stuff underneath that little shed. And dude, what was that? That was over a year ago almost, if not. And it's still kicking, man. It is not. Like, it's got some punctures and stuff. I just tap it with Gorilla Tape, but overall, that stuff is great, man. I still got a shit ton of it, and I actually used some of it to tarp a house, man. I was in a pinch, and I just nailed it all in around the area in question.
It works,
great,
dude. It works again, and when you heat it, it gets tight like a drum, so it just seals it in tight. I've done clients where I was called to an inspection. They're, oh, can you remove the shrink wrap? I was like, guys, we got paid for this a year ago, and we installed this 2.5 years ago. I was like, if the shrink wrap's still on there, well, God bless it, good for the client. And that's my point with, the carriers right now. It's going to be an interesting hurricane season. First year with legitly no attorney fees. First year, everyone is stuck with direction of pays or, no more AOBs. We're going to see now when a hurricane hits, are we going to have homeowners say, you know what, fuck this, I'm just not going to do a claim. I'd rather my house leak. Or are we going to see people pivot to the PAs, or are we going to see PAs who need cut out a little bit and go just to attorneys? I think that's what's going to be interesting this hurricane season if it hits Florida, if one hits Florida, because for us, we're the vendor, dude. Whether it's an attorney, whether it's a PA, a nice roofer like you, there's business, dude. You know what I mean? For us, we're a little more insulated. I just fear for, now that the carriers kind of have the power in their hands, what's going to happen? Is it just full denials for everybody? It's going to be a $6 billion storm that hits. like Ian was, and that just crashes everybody. Are we gonna be stuck with citizens? I think this is kind of like not a reckoning period, but hey, look, maybe we got to bring attorney fees back, or hey, look, maybe we got to reinstate some kind of AOB thingy. You know what I mean, or some kind of percentage for attorneys or homeowners or something to make it worthwhile filing a claim. Because look, man, I worked Ian, and it was destruction, and it was depressing to see somebody say, hey, look, like I can't afford this.
Dude, I'll tell you that was probably my third storm that I've ever worked. And I think the worst one, but that probably might have been the worst, but I didn't really get into the epicenter of the disaster. Like I didn't get too south. The furthest south I went was Port Charlotte, but I did go to North Carolina for Florence.
Oh, okay.
That's where that hurricane sat there for in
Forever.
Jacksonville. Yeah, it's that and that. It sat there for like 10 days, just reaping destruction. And what I can tell you is, so I saw some pretty crazy things over there. I think we're going to see down here, which is there wasn't any PAs for that matter. And I think it's because the state doesn't really, that state kind of operates the same way that Georgia does. So you don't see too many like code things that they can kind of lean on to get the money up there. They exist, but I didn't see any working out there. As a matter of fact, I didn't see many teams out there because Michael happened about 3 weeks after that, and then everyone
people were chasing Michael. Yeah, people were chasing Michael.
So we were out there kind of on our own. One of the very few contractors that we saw a lot from our home market of Atlanta that came out there. But I'll say this, the disaster was crazy. There was pretty much nobody tarping stuff. I was out there and I ended up doing it all for free. I didn't make a dime, but we were just putting underlayment, just tools and tools of underlayment, dude, just laying that down. There was no roof wrapping. There really were no tarps you can even buy. They were all gone. And it was to the point where everybody needed a contractor at that point, but they were being told at Home Depot, it was on the radio. There were people sitting outside handing out pamphlets, don't sign up with a contractor. And I'm like, look, I get it. I get the concern. We've gone far enough into the industry now, or into all these storms and stuff like that, that those contractors, though they still exist, are they going to take your money and pounce? I don't think they're as abundant as we once had it, because it's not as much of a free for all. It's not the Wild West.
The laws have changed, man. If you're gonna be the contractor that's scamming people, dude, you're gonna go to jail. It's like that guy in Port Charlotte that was signing up roofs, wasn't even a roofer, and then it wasn't even a licensed GC when they lifted the law where you didn't have to be a roofer. He went to jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I understand.
I actually didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was a guy. We signed like 19 homes. Didn't have any license for shit. We're just selling jobs to other people. And he went to jail, dude. You can't be doing jobs that you're not licensed for.
Do you know where he was from?
Oh man, he was out of towner. He was not from Florida. He was from out of town. I think he was from Texas or some shit like that.
Oklahoma or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, one of those states. There's no laws for that.
I don't know if it's him, but there was a guy that I actually got in touch with him because he was doing telemarketing leads. And I found him online. He ended up taking me for like $750. These telemarketer guys, man, I consistently get taken advantage of, man. You think they're credible and then they're not. But anyway, he called me and he was like, he came down with the team, like, I don't know, 3-5 guys or whatever. And he's like, man, we've been signing them up left and right. And, I spoke with him for probably close to a year and a half before I actually gave him the money for the leads. But he was trying to get me to find a contractor who he could sub the work out.
Exactly.
And he's like, I got all these contracts. And eventually I hooked him up with an installer because it just started getting weird. And I hooked him up with an installer that actually had their license, and he ended up working with them on a couple. But I wonder if that was the guy, because he was shady enough, and it
might have been him, dude. Again, people are coming to Florida thinking it's Texas. Like, in Texas, you don't even need a fucking license to do a roof. Me and you could do a roof. You know what I mean? I don't need a license. Is that right? Yeah, in Texas, you go put it on. Who cares?
Oh shit! I thought that Texas was kind of like Florida in the regulations, because
dude, Texas for contractors is Candyland. It's very easy to do the work because again, people are more educated. You go to Texas. We went in Texas for the freeze that happened in 21, where everything in Austin exploded, everything in San Antonio exploded, Dallas, all those pipes froze and they blew up. And people in Texas are comfortable paying a deductible. They're my deductible is 5Gs. Like, well, we've been advised by attorneys in Texas that that's the process. You collect the deductible, then you work. So hey, no problem. Here's a check, and they pay you. In Florida, good luck getting someone to pay you 5Gs before doing work. That's just not the norm in Florida. You know, when Hurricane Ian hit, there was no, hey, man, I need the $2,500 deductible you have, the 1% deductible. It's just, hey, can you do shrink wrap or not? Yeah, we can. Install it, build a carrier, and negotiate from there. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's what's hard with Florida is, you know, there's so many regulations on, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you submit this late, you're fucked. You do this wrong, you're fucked. Where we're going to see the contractors who have been in the game for a while, they know what they're doing.
Right.
They'll make money. It's the guys that are fresh, the guys that are, oh, I got 10 grand. Let me try and do a couple of blue tarps. They're going to get fucked. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's one of those things where we're going to see if there's a Cat 4 hitting the state, it's going to make everyone get citizens by 2026. It's what it's my prediction.
And that's one of the things, that's what I was going to say about over in North Carolina, man. Everyone I ran into, they had Farm Bureau. So it was North Carolina Farm Bureau. And because no one else wanted to, and then of course, everyone had FEMA claims, right? But
of course,
realistically, I think we're going to end up in a situation where it is primarily going to be maybe one or two carriers. Now, I don't know if it's the same in North Carolina. I don't know, but I was told the pendulum swings back and forth. And down here now with the deductible thing, I haven't had as much issue with that. What I do find though is that if I start smelling that there's a claim afoot, especially after a storm, normally it's like, we just want to see a price. We just want to get a price, and you got to come in and race to the bottom, because a lot of times they're cutting these people checks, and you know, that's probably 80% of what they could really get, but really they could bid on, you know, and that's what happened in North Carolina. Like, let's say it was a $17,000 roof. Well, they were giving them about 15 and saying, go ahead and find, and there were companies coming in at 13, you know, and they were like, and I met people in restaurants and bars, and they were telling me that, you know, honestly, I'd like to keep some of this because I got so much going on that I'm trying to actually hold on to. Yeah. So, and that's what people I think were doing over with Ian, man, is they weren't signing with anybody. It was helping the insurance companies because, I mean, realistically, all those proceeds, they don't go to the contractor. Were there contractors that could come in and do it for less? Yeah, there were. But I mean, it kind of screws everything up because what the homeowner doesn't realize is that there is also additional work orders. There's things that get missed. There are compromises that get made. You know, people are using materials that they got left over, probably sitting in a storage shed for years, that they're bringing out to do this low budget job. And then a lot of the bigger, better contractors, they didn't want to take those jobs, and they didn't have to. What they were doing was saying, look, our price is $550 a square for shingle. Yep. If you don't want it, go to the next guy. And then there is somebody out there who's going to do it for $425 or whatever, in that market, which was really low. That'd be like us doing it for $380 over here.
Yeah, it's like everybody's doing, dude. You're gonna make, you know, $2,000, go home for the day, and you have to pump out 50 of those, you know, to even make it a while, you know. And I think this is where the PA, the attorney, this is where they come in. If you got a good PA, you got a good attorney, you know, and they're giving you work, you know, do good work for them. That's the highest thing I can stress. You know, a roofer, like, for example, you give me, you know, I've done a couple of shrink jobs for you. I like to say we do a bang job for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every time.
Appreciate that. And for me, it's, you know, if you do a good job and you have a good relationship with the attorneys, the PA who have these clients, you're going to be okay. It could be good. Again, if the PA is a good PA, writes good estimates, is not crazy, you know, oh, it is going to take $300,000 to fix when it's really going to take $150. You just don't be ridiculous, you know. And it's an attorney who just, his percent isn't 30%. Maybe he charges 15 or maybe he charges 10. Who knows? You know, this is where it's going to be important for this hurricane season in Florida, because these are the guys who are going to get you paid. You know
are you watching to see what we're potentially going to get? Have you seen, did I send you that link?
Of course. Again, I'm expecting something in Florida nasty. I'm expecting a Cat 5 because at the end of the year, you know, we got nothing last year.
Yeah.
We got Apalachicola, that region, but again, no one lives there and everyone owns those homes cash, dude. Those trailers are $40,000.
Yeah, back in January, we had remember that tropical storm? It almost,
yeah.
I got one on the 9th of January, and I've had a couple wind claims off of that. But that was close, man. That was pretty close. And that was early.
I was early. Again, and these waters, I mean, I'm in Miami right now, dude. It has been the hottest it's been in years, dude. It's like 103 outside is what it feels like.
Really?
Ocean is hot. Yeah, the ocean is hot as shit. So, dude, if there's any traction in the Gulf or any traction from the East Coast and it hits Florida, it's going to be a Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5 just because of the water temperature, dude. I saw
this morning too, and I don't know how accurate it is, But they're already calling for a tropical storm. They're already calling for one. And I clicked the link and it wouldn't pop up. And I had to hop on this, so I didn't really get to dig into it. But
The season starts May 1st, May 5th. It's the season now, man. And again, that's oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I met someone yesterday. Now they got State Farm, and we all know how State Farm is. And just there's a quick disclaimer. So State Farm is something that we used to make a lot of money with. And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, man, I wish they were buying stuff too. But if you were doing this anytime between like 2016 and 2018, the chances are you made a shit ton of money off of State Farm.
Sure.
And they were awesome. They would come out one flip shingle, and so long as like 13, 14 years old, they were going to pay for the whole roof. So I think that they were very agreeable. I think they tightened their but I also heard that a couple years before that, they were kind of like how they are now too. So they kind of go through this.
It goes in waves. It goes in waves. If Florida doesn't get a storm for a few years, maybe more insurers will come back. I mean, look at Louisiana. I mean, they just made a law where, the way it was in Louisiana is if you were insured for 2 years straight, your carrier couldn't really drop you. Your carrier had to stay and insure you. Now that law's gone. So your carrier could just QC you.
Yeah.
But when you think about it from the legislative side of things, there's nothing in Louisiana. I mean, home in New Orleans, that's, 1,800 square feet. The insurance is 7-8 G's a year, dude.
Yeah. It's insane. I have so many homeowners right now that up and down the eastern seaboard, several different counties they're older and they're moving up to the mountains because we just can't afford it. And their houses pretty much what they said their mortgage. One couple, they said their mortgage was $500 a month, but their cost of their insurance is so much that they can't afford. They're like, listen, we're not here to eat, go shopping at the dollar store. Like we want to be able to live our life comfortably.
Drive Florida, of course. What's the point of being here, man? And if you can't get the sun and you can't, have fun on the boat, and that's the point of being here. And if insurance is going to cost you $8,000 a year for a simple 3-2, what's the point of staying here? And are we going to see an exodus of Florida? Probably not, man. A lot of people with money came down here. A lot of remote workers came down here. They can stomach an AG bill when their rent in New York is $5,000 a month.
Now, think about that, though, long term, right? So I remember, especially after COVID, when everybody was coming here buying shit sight unseen, pretty much foregoing any inspections, just buying that shit off of what they can see on Zillow. That's what spiked the whole, now there's no inventory. I have it on good authority that the market's going to kind of take a dip a little bit. I have some realtor friends.
The insurance people.
Well, I have some friends in the realtor industry. They're very well connected, and they were like, "Look, they were about to sell their house, and now they're not going to, because they know that there's a dip coming in the next 30 to 45 days. They haven't even released why yet. They weren't going to necessarily tell us, but point being is that you think longevity, right? You got all these people who came in from northern states, California. The only time those people, and I'm from New York, and didn't you say you're from Maryland, right? So
Maryland,
those northern states, they don't file claims unless they had a pipe burst, unless they had a flood. They don't actually know that your roof can get replaced. I have roofing friends who are up in New York, and I'm like, you guys ever do insurance replacement? And they're like, yeah, it happens. We get hail and wind all the time, but nobody really does it because they don't have a campaign like that like they do in the southern states, or the western states for that matter. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of this client base who's not going to be aware that this is a possibility. So it might actually revamp the market a little bit, get people. But then, of course, we got to, hope that there's not going to be government officials saying like, hey, don't sign contracts, just go out there and figure this out by yourself. You can do it.
Correct. And I think that's where, a restoration company like us is also very important. Because look, I mean, we bill the carrier directly. I've never gone after a homeowner ever. I've never sued a homeowner. I've never said, hey, man, we didn't get paid by the carrier. Do you owe us $10,000 for the mold job? That's never happened. Because for us, again, at the end of the day, if you know this business and you've been in it long enough, you've been in it a while, if you just have someone in your corner, you're fine. Whether it's the attorney, whether it's the PA, or whether it's the homeowner. I tell homeowners, look, we're Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen, before they had a little beef. We are the Bulls dynasty here. We're a team here. You got a pipe burst. You got mold now. I'm going to remediate it free of charge because in your insurance carrier, your company policy, you have a $10,000 mold cap.
Right.
Legally speaking, I can do the work and I can bill the carrier and I can bill up to 10 G's. Homeowner says, fine. I appreciate that, but what if they deny it? I was like, look, you had a pipe burst. You had a plumber come fix it. You're showing that you're mitigating your home. You're having me remediate it. There's no reason why they shouldn't pay for, again, the mold bill for you to build it back. There's no reason why they shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's one of those things where if you're honest with your homeowners and you're not bullshitting them, you're going to get paid. And again, the only issue here is if a Cat 4, Cat 5 hits Florida and nobody, wants to sign up with the PA for 10%. And then the carrier says, nah, I'm not paying. Fuck you. And then it goes to an attorney who's charging 30. Well, is there any point to file a claim if you're losing 40% of your money? That's the issue we're going to see, is what I think. It's just there's going to be work. And there's going to be thousands of homes, hundreds of thousands of homes damaged, who need shrink wrap, who need roofs, who need water mitigation, who need everything. But when they hear they're losing 40% of their claim, let's kick out the PA. They're losing 30% of their money. Why would you file anything?
Now, here's the thing, too. I mean, obviously, I think the market is going to push it.
Sure.
But I think that we're probably going to see, and I think I've already seen it, not at a scalable rate, but there have been attorneys that have approached me and said, listen, we'll do the claim 10% no matter what.
That's
that's the smart, I think that's the smart approach, is to just get aggressive, because realistically the clientele is not, it's not the everyday person. It's not the homeowner. The clientele is the roofing companies and those guys. We know what's at stake. We know, okay, am I going to send this now? I have attorneys that I work with that frankly, I just don't care. What they're going to, I'll end up building it no matter what. I'll take the loss just because I know they'll be able to get it done. They'll be able to get it done for the homeowner. And who I'm talking about, because we're working with one together right now. But point being is that, there's a lot of roofing companies out there, and whether they're general contractors or not, I mean, some of them are good general contractors. They'll do a build out on the back of a house, and some of them are like, yeah, we'll try and make sure we have a stucco guy for you, But the point is that those guys, I think we're going to see a lot of the better general contractors start coming into the fold more, and what they need to do is step up and start telling people like, hey, when we're taking on these claims, we've got to be able to do all of it. I would like to see more roofing companies get a GC license so that they can actually take over the whole claim. Because what's killing us is that we're taking the claim, we're taking meat off the bone and then throwing it out here. And then it looks like we're not, like the homeowner's not able to help get any help.
Correct.
Because painters as well as I do, stucco people, interior guys, flooring, cabinets, most of the money is in that roof and in that mitigation. They don't want to take it, nor do they know how. They don't do insurance work, so they don't know how to work off those proceeds. So
exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, the roof guy, the roofing company and the MIC company should be your best friends. Because at the end of the day, when a hurricane hits, there's not enough people to go around. You know what I mean? And I love my PA buddies. I love my attorney buddies. You want to do work for the people that, look out for you. You look out for them. Because again, we got a pretty decent operation here. I cannot be everywhere. It's impossible, and it's one of those things to where, to your point, it's like, if you're going to have contractors come in, flooring guys, stucco guys, interior guys, all these guys, have them look out for you. Tell them, hey man, my neighbor's roof, 20 shingles are off. Can you come do it? If you build relationships with people who care about you and you care about them, that's where you're always going to be okay. There's guys where I'll hire a salesperson, they'll sign 7 shitty jobs, and guess what? We all got fucked. This is an industry of building relationships, like you said. Again, you want to be friends with the interior guys. You want to be friends with the GCs, because again, those GCs, they're not really into the insurance game like a roofer is or a MIC company is,
Right.
If you can find a way to formulate, hey, this is the exact to me. This is what it's going to be to repair this thing, with the attorney, with the PA, whoever it is. Here's the roofing company. Present us your bid. Here's the MIC company. Present us your bid for the work done, work provided. This is a conglomerate is what it's going to become. Because before the AOB, it didn't matter, dude. You could sign a roof. You didn't need to know who the PA was. You could sign a roof with the AOB, give it to an attorney and say, sue this for me.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. That's why everyone loved the AOB. It did not matter. You could just, you didn't need to have a good relationship with anybody. Because at the end of the day, you need to have an attorney who gave a fuck about you. Now, with this direction to pay stuff, dude, you need to formulate relationships. If I would say to anybody coming into the industry as a roofer, as a MIG guy, you have to formulate relationships that are long-term where people care about you and you do good work. Because now we all have to depend on each other. The homeowners depend on us. We have to depend on the homeowner to get the check. Now we got to depend on the attorney for litigation, vice versa. We have to be
Mhm.
negotiable. It's one of these things where this is a group effort thing. And I think that's where we really excel at C Restoration is, we don't mind taking the hit if we have to help a homeowner. We don't mind taking the hit to, I'm going to underbill this, but this lady is 75 years old and there's no one to help her.
Right.
This is those things where, it takes a village. And with, mitigation work, we're the guys that'll take a hit when we have to. I'm not stuck on my $5.50 a foot for shrink wrap forever.
Right.
If I need to come down, I'll come down. And guess what? I've even taken losses to make sure that old lady gets a roof.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where there's work. And
Mhm.
take a hit on some of these jobs. Take a hit.
Yep.
There's going to be on other jobs.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times, and every now and then, man, like, obviously I love doing this work. There's a lot of
Sure.
freedom, lot of benefits to it. Money, being the primary one.
Sure. Like anything, like any business, dude. You want to make money, of course.
For sure, for sure. Now, but there are times where I know that there's just like it's just a couple pieces of caulk, that need to go up on somebody's roof. It's
Correct.
an old couple. Um, I remember I've done it for people in Georgia. I've done it down for people in here where I just kind of just give them a quick maintenance package. Just go up there, just button some stuff down, put some caulking underneath. Sometimes, I mean, honestly, um, Flex Seal goes a long way,
Yeah.
man. And I do it a lot, but it's those times, even though I've kind of, I just look at it as a workout, and then I get down, I know that they're good. They're going to call me when it comes time to get a new roof. And they have, and
Right.
almost every time they do. But doing the right thing when you have the opportunity, I think it goes a long way. And if we had
Right.
more of that, um, and ultimately I do think that starts with education in what we're doing. But if we had more of that in this industry, one hand washing the other, and that includes
Right.
not just with customers, but also with each other.
Exactly.
I meet people all the time. I'm bidding on the job. I'll show up there on the roof. I'll be like, "Hey, man, do you mind if I come up there while you're up there? Do you want me to give you a minute?" That kind of thing where you doing two bids. And I get to know them a little bit. I actually got a bunch of contacts that way. I still stay in touch with. I've got real good friends that work with other roofing companies, and I mean good friends. And
Sure.
we talk. We talk about the market. We talk about, hey, what are you guys at? Price per square. Here's where I'm at. Like, what
Yep.
what are you running into, dude? That kind of relationship, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this podcast is kind of set that precedent so that everybody knows, like, look, this industry's stronger if we're all together talking about the same stuff, keeping
Exactly.
each other aware of the same shit that's happening. Because ultimately, like, being divisive and looking at everybody else that like they're stealing your lunch with that, if you're working in a small town and there's maybe 100,000 roofs and you got 10 roofers in there, yeah, maybe they are eating your lunch. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it's
Correct.
important for you to know what they're doing that's causing them to take it off your table. But ultimately, that's what I'm trying to achieve here. Let
No,
me ask you this.
sure.
Go
Go
ahead. I'm
shoot.
sorry. No, you go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say this. I think this podcast is a great idea, just in the sense that it's like you're saying, if we all know what everyone's job is here, and we're all teaming up to make sure we do the job right for the homeowner at the end of the day. Because remember, these are services provided again for us at least. It's free until we negotiate with the insurance company or the homeowner settles with one big check and we get our portion. You know what I mean? This is all when you think of it is what I describe as pro bono work. Is what I tell my homeowners. Look, this is free. And quite frankly, I'm taking a risk on this. I might
Yeah.
not even get paid for this because they hate shrink wrap.
And
It's
that's
not
the
a
biggest, that's the thing I tell homeowners too, especially when I'm referring services like you.
Thank
I'm
you.
like, look, for the majority of what I'm doing, it's all free until we know that that the insurance company is going to pay for it. It's at the end of the day, it is a gamble for us. But let me
Yep.
tell you something. And people will say, well, how come I got the insurance company is going to pay this much. I'm getting, and you're saying you're going to take it all. But then there's other companies out there, they're $2,000 less than you. And I tell them, to put it simply, I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to find somebody cheaper. Let me tell you why they're cheaper. Okay. Number one, okay, when this job is done, when they're done with that work, payment is due. They want money in hand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they know they're going to get that money in hand. So that's why they can be like, okay, we can just move this quicker. Is it a lower margin? For sure. Right. But it's also you, me, and a napkin. Right. It's you, me, and I write a price on a napkin and then we're in agreement. Okay.
Correct.
But if I go the insurance route, now it's a totally different story. Okay. So now it's not me, you, and a napkin. It's me, you, the insurance company. It's probably 4 or 5 other different programs that we've got to factor in to make sure measurements are correct, pricing is
Mm-hmm.
correct, all of these things
Mm-hmm.
are correct. I'm going to front the majority of the material and the labor, which means that now I've got a financial burden on my side, and then I've got to
Exactly.
wait months to actually see my profit. Months, not now. I've also got to make sure that I'm paying a sales guy and paying people in play to make sure that they're happy, so that they don't leave and completely abandon all the work I've had them committed to
Exactly.
do. I said, and then I get paid. So yeah, is it more? Of course it's more, because there's more entailed to it. Also, you got to consider the fact that now I have the ability to be as detailed as I need to be. Okay. Because it's given me the freedom. That's the whole point. Is the one thing that the insurance company likes is detail. They want to know exactly what they're paying
Of
for.
course. They're going to pay you. Of
Yep.
course. Yeah.
It holds everybody accountable. Now, if I build your roof, I'm not saying I'm going to do a bad job, because I'm not. I'm going to put on as many as the best materials as allowable that are fixed in this price. Okay. I won't compromise quality. I promise you I won't compromise quality. But when I can put duration shingle on with that sure nail strip, that's going to give you just all these all these assurances, because I've got a little bit of leg room there. I don't mind it. I can breathe on that. Or I've got to put, a certainty landmark on there because it's a little bit cheaper, because I know that the margin's going to be a little bit heftier.
Of course.
That those are the discussions that you got to have with the homeowners and say, I don't want to put on a bad roof, and I won't put on a bad roof. I said, but if I'm working with this process, not only do I have the opportunity to put on a little bit more materials, because the insurance company is going to cover it, because these are code upgrades, these are things that are unforeseen items. You don't have to worry about bearing the cost on that. This just gives us a little bit more breathing room. I have the opportunity to be more detailed, whereas I've got to kind of have a cookie cutter price for you if I go this way. And I don't want to have a cookie cutter price, because no roof is cookie cutter.
Of course.
Everything.
Every roof is special for every homeowner. Again, people got to realize this is their asset. This is probably the biggest thing they're ever going to purchase in their life is a home, and you want to protect your home, and that's these hurricanes, if we're going to do insurance work, let's protect your asset 100% of the way, and this is where the mid company comes in with the roofing company hand in hand. Hey, look, my name is Adam. Pleasure to meet you. I see you got a leaky roof. I see some stains. I see some missing tiles and shingles. I'd love to shrink wrap this for you. It's free of charge. And what do you mean free of charge? Well, we're going to build the insurance company directly for you. This is a hurricane claim. I mean, there's been a widespread damage here. I mean, look at your neighborhood. I'm sorry for what's happened to you. We'd love to help you out here. And it is, again, at the end of the day, it's about helping the homeowner. Again, am I going to make money from the shrink wrap? Of course, like anything. But help the homeowner seal in their home until they can get that roof installed. So, remember, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, man, and this is kind of what I was going to dive into before. Like, let's talk about the perfect client base for you, right? You got some people out there, especially roofing companies. I know roofing companies that have opened their own restoration company and just really couldn't figure it out. But I'm like, look, man, you're not targeting the right audience. I mean, people aren't just going to call in and think they need this dried out or they need dehumidifiers. They're not going to do that. They're going to go to Home Depot and see how much a dehumidifier costs. They might not even know to have a dehumidifier unless the contractor tells them. So what's the ideal, what does an ideal reference or a lead look like from you? Who does it come from? And, what essential, what services are you providing that also help them in the long run? Does that make sense?
That is a great question. And again, people think for us, we're these shady car salesmen type, where we just knock on doors and I want this. No, for me, the ideal client base is someone providing another service. An attorney is great. A PA is great. Arguably, my favorite one, roofing company. You know why? The roofing company doesn't want to shrink wrap it, and the roofing company doesn't want to deal with water mitigation inside
the tarp. They don't want to be going out there every 2 months to go fix that tarp.
To fix the tarp, exactly. So for me, my ideal scenario, if I could dream it up for you, I'll do lawyer, PA, roofing company. Let's start with roofing company. Our roofing company, such as yourself, hey, Adam, this client's leaking, some missing shingles. Can you help me out here? Of course, Adam. Where's the client located? You got to give me a lead time here. Give me the, Orlando.
What area? I know you're in Florida, but what areas do you service in Florida?
All of Florida. I've driven from Miami to Pensacola myself when I was first starting off to do a water main job to earn my bruises. I've gone all over the state. Wherever the job is, I will go for a client.
All right. So for those of you who are listening in the Florida area, I can vouch for Adam's services 100%. They're fast. And as far as the billing is concerned, they've always had it down pat. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. And so for us, again, you call me. There's a leak. There's missing shingle. You don't really want to deal with it. Hey, can you shrink wrap this for me, bro? Of course I can shrink wrap it. Who's your attorney? Because most of the time you have an attorney on this claim already anyways. My attorney is X, the one we're working with right now. Let's start using it moving forward. We shrink wrap the job. We give the invoice to the attorney already. It's simplified. That's the ideal client. Someone who already has, the client in hand, and there's a need for our work. Because for you guys have thousands of pictures of this broken tile. You have thousands of pictures of the interior looking wet. You have proof that this is damaged. You have a data loss that's perfect. November 15th, for example, in Miami recently. I mean, it was 70-mile-per-hour winds in Miami. It was a tropical storm in Miami this past November. When you have stuff that's substantiated by an actual service provider such as yourself, it's so much easier, because we're hand in hand here. Why do you shrink wrap this? Well, if you look at the roofer's photos, it's clear as day that it's damaged. And then they ask you, why did you get a shrink wrap? Well, if you look at my photos, this is completely damaged. If you look at the ceiling of their bedroom on their second floor story, it's completely damaged. Now one hand washes the other correctly.
What is too small? Like, what would be considered too small? And the reason I ask this is because I've worked for restoration companies, especially when I was doing tarps, where it was like, if you see any spot on the ceiling, give us a call. They get dehues in there. They're cutting floorboards out, and then they're throwing a tarp, but you've got a spot like this big, and you don't even know how old it is. You know what I mean? So what's too small? Where do you want to see yourself as far as?
Correct. Look, I need to see, again, I'm not those guys where, I got 2 missing shingles. Oh, wrap it up, guys. Sure, grab it. That's it. Code's it. No. There needs to be, again, we want to follow the insurance company's rules. If it's not 25% damaged or more, we are not shrink wrapping this thing. There needs to be enough damage, unless it's tile. You cannot only shrink wrap a portion of tile. It does not exist. We'll get into that later. The interior of a home, we need multiple water spots, in different areas, because if it's your whole roof leaking, you got to provide proof your whole roof's leaking. I went to see customers that are, hey, my roof's leaking, all over. I'm like, okay, sure. Can you show me some spots? Like you said, a hole this big in their bedroom. I'm like, brother, you might have one leak. Legally, right. I can't touch this, man, because again, there's no point to open a claim. Your best bet, pay a roof for a couple $100, $1,000 to repair that one missing shingle. Cut out the ceiling hole, rent a dehue from Home Depot.
Yeah.
And just take care of yourself again.
And in some cases, I mean, if it's small enough and they do fix that leak, I mean, just they can just paint it. I mean, if it's not getting to the point where it's standing moisture, I take my moisture meter with me, man. If I got anything over 50%, that's when I'm like, this is constant. This is happening. Like there's no avoiding it. And we're looking at potential. I think it's 62%, and mold is going to start propagating. Right.
Mold forms, if it's 62% wet, mold will form anywhere between 24 to 48 hours will form already. Okay. It's growing, man. It's fast growing. I mean, I did a client recently up in Lantana, Florida. I've never heard of it in my life until
never heard of it either.
Yeah, it's on the East Coast. It's by Port St. Lucie, I think, or Boynton Beach, something like that. And the client had a pipe burst. And I was like, okay, I mean, how long was the pipe, flowing for? She's like, oh man, it was flowing for 7-8 hours until a plumber could come out there and fix it, emergency. I was like, okay. Let's see the damage. And, took my moisture meter, plugged it in the wall, and dude, this thing's 90% wet, all around the living room. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'll have a mold assessor come out. We'll do some little test cuts just to see what's behind the wall, because we can't see spots yet. It's only been a day.
Right.
Well, my guy comes 3 days later, does a little test cut. Guess what's behind that wall?
Mold.
Black mold. Mold is fast growing, and I think that's where, for homeowners, that's idea of, all these contractors are scammers becomes the thing, because they just don't believe that it grows that fast. It's right. Like, look, water is insane. If you get forced water intrusion, category 3 water, sewage water from a hurricane, you need to mitigate.
Oh, dude. I heard a story of, so I don't remember the details, because I heard this years ago, about there was a house, all the pipe burst, and there was like a sewage where it all came out, but it was all running down to the next house. So that sewage, so they essentially had to gut the house, because I think at that point it becomes a hazmat. Is that right?
Yep, it's a hazmat issue. Correct.
Right. Yeah, that's Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's the perfect example of, one of my first jobs actually was that situation. It was out of towner who lived in New York, but had a home in Palm Coast. And the washer dryer exploded. He didn't live there. So the water was just flowing until a neighbor said, dude, there's water coming out of your front door. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? So he flies down himself, and it's, lo and behold, everywhere. And there's mold
Oh,
everywhere in that home, you know? And unfortunately for him, he had kin. And I'm not saying kin's great, not saying they're bad. They're all right carrier.
yeah.
However, they have, specific vendors they like to use. And
Right.
that vendor they sent in,
Are they right? Are they right to repair? Is that how they work?
they're there. And that's what happened to him. So they had a vendor come in. The vendor just drilled holes in the baseboard, stuck in some DQs, got the 3K limit, and left.
Mm.
And we go into this house and it is disgusting, dude. I've never seen mold that bad ever in my life. And I told him, man, unfortunately here, this is a cash situation, man. I can't build this and get paid and help you. It's
Dude,
impossible.
that's what's happening up in North Carolina. We were coming into houses where all of it was just out on the curb. Like we're talking the insulation, drywall, pretty much everything. It was all just nothing but studs. Personal belongings, everything they couldn't carry in a suitcase was all out on the curb. And we were coming in trying to talk to these homeowners saying, like, look, let's take a look at your estimates. But all of that mitigation, because I guess they call the mitigation companies, then that claim gets filed. Or at least that's how I saw. But I'm seeing like everything. I mean, dude, we were left with basically next to nothing to help them with, because all of that was taken out by the restoration companies. Now, whether or not that was legitimate, I don't know. But I can tell you it was the same companies, and a lot of it was, well, I won't say who, but it's a big restoration company.
You know who it is. Yeah, we all know who it is. I mean, if you're in this industry, you know who it is for the most part,
Yeah.
And again, that's where for me, I feel bad for these homeowners because you need to educate the homeowner, and that's why, at the end of the day, people might not like PAs at all. You might hate them. I like them. They give me work and I give them work back. But to me, it's one of these things where you need someone who's going to fight for you in your corner as a homeowner because you have a 9-to-5 job. You got to take care of your kids.
Yeah.
You got life going on. You
know what my favorite kind of PA is, in all
Sure.
honesty, is one who's reciprocating,
Correct.
one who's got clients who call them and then they're like, hey man, I need a good, honest contractor who's going to be able to take care of these people. That's why I like. There's a lot of companies out there that they're living off of our food as far as like, the only claims they're getting are from other roofing companies, which is fine. And if that's going to be your avenue, that's cool. I prefer to work with smaller, more aggressive outfits rather than the big ones, even though the big ones are okay. But does the same thing happen, in my opinion, like as far as the PAs are concerned? Now with attorneys, it's different. I've seen small outfits completely shit the bed. I've seen giant outfits be the best in the world. But with the PA firms, I've seen them walk away from stuff where I'm like, dude, I mean, I wouldn't have sent it to you if I wanted you to walk away from it. Why didn't you just at least give me the opportunity to talk to them about an attorney? Or they're just not checking with you before they're going to a mediation. They don't care what you get in it because they're more about their fee. And that's the thing. It's like, it's annoying,
Of course.
I like when there's that, one hand washes the other relationship. Because look, I'm not throwing this into the ether, man. These are, and especially the same goes with public adjusters as well. I know public adjusters who don't do shit. They'll come in, they'll get all the money for the claim, and they do a great job. But then that customer's out there making phone calls for roofers, and I know they're not really supposed to refer, or at least I don't think they are. I don't know if it's the same regulations as like an independent adjuster, but at the same time,
PAs can refer, but they have to offer multiple options. They can't just say, hey, use Adam Bouchti only. Hey, use Adam Bouchti only.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't really do that.
But they don't offer them many, and realistically, they might not care. But at the same time, it's kind of like out of there that, hey, look, I don't have to worry about it at this point. But I think that's a great avenue for any of the public adjusters who might even be listening, is like, look, use that. That's ammunition to get you other clients. Because there's plenty of companies out there who want to work with those retail clients. It's quick, it's fast, and then you got roofing companies that'll come in and just eat up. They'll come in $550 a square, knowing that they have $550 a square to play with. That's not who I am, though. I'll come in and I'll say, look, I'll ask them how much do they have to play with, knowing that I can't go over that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. My intention will be to come in, give them my 30%. If I can get 30% on it, I'm content. But if I need to go to 25, I will.
It's the same with the wraps. Again, shrink wrap and roofs are very, very similar in terms of getting paid out. I mean, look, the only difference is, with the roof, you actually need the brand new roof. With the carrier, they don't see the shrink wrap as a need. So for me, it's like I tell any PA that I work with, it's like, look, man, I don't mind shrink wrapping it, but you got to let me know if I can get paid for the shrink wrap or not. Because again, I don't mind helping a homeowner. I really don't. I just can't afford to put out 10 shrink wraps when I get paid for one, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing with the industry is, just educating everybody on it. Because for me, I've lost maybe 2 shrink wraps. I've done hundreds. We did one in Orlando, me and you, for the car dealership, and we got paid out.
Yeah.
Worked
Yeah.
out great. It wasn't the full bill, but
Dude,
they were.
I'll tell you this, man. I mean, with the situation that was too, I mean, the guy was like, listen, I want you to do the tarping. And I was thinking, all right, well, I should be able to just spot tarp this or throw a big tarp on it. But he wouldn't commit to us working the claim. So he was like, you said you would do it. And I said, yeah, man, that was conditional. But I said, here's what I'm going to do. So I didn't see a legitimate way to get that tarped. I said that the only way I can see this working is if you get this wrapped. And that's
Yeah.
why I teed you up, because I was like, man, and it was big. I think it was a big one too, right?
It was like 6,000 square feet. Pretty big, pretty big roof. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I do not want to be out here every time the wind blows to come and fix some tarps, because that's what happens. Now, let me ask you this. I know you do
Sure.
tarps. Well, tell me a little bit about the actual tarping that you do.
Sure. In the sense of blue tarping or the shrink wrapping?
Yeah, the blue tarping.
The blue tarping, I mean, again, it's pretty simple for us. I mean, usually shingle roofing. I mean, during a hurricane, I think we're gonna pivot to start with blue tarping, let it get inspected, and then shrink
Yeah.
wrap it.
Okay, smart.
Yeah. So for us, again, blue tarping is just you buy, whatever, the 6 mil, 7 mil, 8 mil, 9 mil, whatever the thickest one you can find. During a hurricane, it's impossible to find any, so we stock up before. And super simple, man. Take it, stretch it over, fascia it. Get some furring strips, use it as a fascia.
Yeah.
Nail it in there, and it's, again, cover what is damaged. If the roof is just completely compromised, you got to shrink wrap, man, because I've done blue tarps where we tarp the roof, and then on the edges of the blue tarp, you see missing shingle. It's like, man, we should just wrapped it from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And blue tarps are pretty easy. Again, for me, they're way quicker than a shrink wrap. I could do 5 blue tarps and 1 shrink wrap in a day,
Right.
So it's one of those things where, but again, you don't want to be overly greedy. I know shrink wrap guys that are charging $9 a foot during a hurricane, and guess what? They're getting it.
Yeah.
And they're waiting. They're willing to wait. They don't care, because for them, it's about the dollar. They don't care what happens to the homeowner's claim at all.
Dude, I tried to, and I think I told you this, but I tried to have my own tarping company kind of without the connections that I was using. I just, honestly, if I could have just done that, I probably would have just done that, man. I was making $3 to $5 grand a week. I was working maybe 20 to 30 hours a week. I spent most of my time working out on the beach.
Yeah.
Dude, it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. But so I ended up investing like $1,000 into some 16 mil tarps. And I ended up, I had them all stacked up. I did about 8 to 10. I had somebody writing up the bids. We never got paid. We never got paid. Now, I don't know if we never got paid or if the person I was partnering with who was got paid.
Yeah.
But I think that it's that we never got paid, because I've done tarps with other companies and done the tarps, and they were billing for it, and they just gave me a little slice of it. And they never got paid either, man. So tell me, how are you?
No, I know what your question is going to be. Is how are we getting paid for blue tarps? Is what it is. I mean, it's a team effort here. Most of the clients I work with or I want to work with have a form of representation. If anyone's listening to this, a homeowner, whoever it is, your biggest asset is representation. Someone batting for you that knows how to get you paid. Because, again, if I do a blue tarp for Miss Nancy and she has nobody but an insurance claim, the insurance carrier is going to say, well, fuck you, bud. Not substantiated. You don't, this is not warranted. If you have an attorney, a PA, hey, man, when you're done with this blue tarp, give me the bill. I'll get you paid.
So is it really not worth doing unless they have some sort of PA or attorney involved?
Correct. It is.
Otherwise, they're just going to tell you kick rocks.
They're going to tell you kick rocks. Go get it from the homeowner. The homeowner's deductible is $8. This blue tarp invoice you send me is $7. Go get the deductible from the homeowner before anything happens.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I knew one. It was a couple that worked together, and believe it or not, I actually knew a couple of your husband wife couples that did roofing. What they would do is they would tell the homeowner to pay for the tarp out of their ACV. Now, I don't know if that's legal, but and they were like, look, and then just submit this invoice, tell them you paid it with the ACV. Now, that's not really what it's relegated for, but that's what they were using it for. And they were doing all right. But I actually had to turn the model over, and I was like, look, here's the thing. I'm going to put this tarp up. The insurance company is going to pay you X amount of dollars for this tarp. I'm not greedy. I don't need that. And I also don't want to wait a year and a half or possibly even go to litigation to get paid for it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this tarp for you. This is what it's going to cost. And then I'm going to give you an invoice, and you could take that invoice and bring it to the insurance company, because they could tell me to fuck off, but they're not going to tell the insured to fuck off.
Exactly.
And most of the time that's been the case.
That's not a bad idea. And again, for me, I've never tried that avenue. I mean, for me, my thing is like, your net worth is your network. At the end of the day, it's who you know, man. Who you know is, I've worked with shitty attorneys before, and I've lost cases, and you put a lot of money in those cases, into installing these jobs. And I've worked with great attorneys before, and they got me paid 95% of my bills sometimes. It's one of these things where, for the blue tarps, at least, you gotta be sure that the homeowner during a hurricane has somebody. Because if this is a homeowner that has no idea what's going on, they just lost 70% of their contents, didn't really give a fuck about blue tarp, to be quite frank. They just want something to cover their house. You want to make sure they got somebody looking out for them, looking over their policy, trying to get them paid. I think is the best way to do it. For me, at least. Everyone's different. For me, I like PAs and attorneys and roofing companies, because again, at the end of the day, they've vetted the client for you already. You can substantiate your work because you're needed. So everyone helps each other out here. Why'd you do the mold job? It's right here,
Yeah. I've had adjusters come out though. Like, I'll put tarps up just because it's the right thing to do. I'm like, look, it's leaking. Actually, it won me a really 50 square job out here where I live. I was the only of the 3 or 4 contractors that they had out there. Every one of us told them that they had hail damage. Every single one. They had an active leak, and I'm the only one, first off, who brought up the tarp, asked if because it was a area flashing. I'm the only one who brought it up, but I'm the only one who called them and said, listen, I don't need your business, but do you need someone to put something up to cover that for now? I want your business, but I'm willing to do this at no charge just to make sure you guys are going to be good. That's what won me the job, ultimately.
Brother, kindness goes a long way, brother.
Yep. And I even said, I was like, look, I want to put this up on my Facebook, because that's what that'll be my the only thing I ask is, let me take this, put it on my Facebook for a little bit of branding. And they were like, yeah, so long as there's no, I think it was location stamps on it. They were cool.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I get it.
So, yeah, but it ultimately, I mean, I've had adjusters come out and say like, all right, well, do you have a bill for the tarp? I'm like, nah, I'm not really worried about it. And they're like, all right, we'll throw something in there for you. I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
Again, if you just do a good job for people, you're not a greedy pig. Like there's a lot of restoration companies out here that they just don't care, man. They're about that dollar. They don't care what happens to the homeowner. They don't even care if the homeowner gets paid, as long as they get paid at the end of the day.
Let me ask you this, man. In your field, right? Is there an avenue where you could be reaching out to maybe field adjusters, independent adjusters? Are they allowed to refer services like yours?
That's the thing. For me, I would love to, meet an IA who is doing 50 claims in, Port Charlotte, for example, and Ian.
Right.
It's just not legal, man. It's just not legal because they're paid by the insurance carrier to go out there to adjust. So then the carrier's gonna be like, why the hell did, Adam Pollins refer 50 mid jobs to Adam Bouchti, the same company,
Right.
It's just not legal. I wish it was, it's a very easy avenue because they're already there. We're in the area circling, but they just can't do it. They just can't do it legally.
Do you guys do any advertisement like direct to consumer? Like, do you guys do any like Google ad space?
We've tried Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, everything. We've tried it. Again, for me, everyone's story is different. The way they get their business is different. Some people are great with Facebook ads. I mean, they put a Facebook ad out, they get a bunch of hits, they get 5 phone calls in a week.
Yeah.
For us, it just hasn't really worked out too well. I mean, I'm thinking about hiring one of those guys that just do it for you and like actually know what they're doing to get you ads. Because again, in this slow season, it's slow season. There's no real work right now. Would you guys pay somebody separate to do that, like just an agent, or would you guys bring that in house? No. Again, for me, I would pay somebody, separately. Say, hey, man, we want you to run some leads for us. We know we've heard you're good in the restoration industry by getting leads. What's your bill? What do you charge?
Yeah,
I've had whatever it is. I got a lot.
I got some friends who own roofing companies, and there's a couple different models. So we see this, obviously the retail. There's your insurance side, and they do both, right? But one of the ways that they're getting there is they're just spending money on Google ads, and literally it's probably like $15,000 to $20,000 a month. But I mean, it's just an engine, dude. It's just an engine. They keep getting out there. Of course they got to get aggressive and stuff like that, but they do end up with insurance claims out of that. That has probably been the most successful I've seen. Now,
again, if you're willing to spend 20 G's a month, you're going to land, 10 mold jobs a month. And again, there's a mold cap. Everyone in Florida knows the mold cap is 10 G's. And again, the work we're doing substantiates the 10 grand. I mean, again, you're leaving 3D hues and 2 scrubbers in a house removing, drywall from a bathroom and a living room. It's going to be, a mold assessment is pretty expensive. It's not free. They cost money. So for us, it's pretty easy to hit that number. It's just, trying to convince yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to spend $20,000 this month to get ads. That's, I think, is what's hard for us right now.
So would you recommend us as a contractor? Now I do. I have I bring a moisture meter with me. It's always in my tool bag. I'm always checking when those leaks. I want to see if they're active and if I can get there, right, without a ladder.
Of course.
But would you suggest that they have that, and that if they see anything over 50%, but it looks like it's been there for a minute, that's when they would call you? Is that kind of like that's when the
Correct. I mean, again, for me, anything over 62%, anything that's in multiple areas, you probably got a roof leak. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You probably got a major roof leak. If you have my living room is leaking, my bedroom is leaking, and my bathroom is leaking, my ceilings, you got a roof. You got a pretty bad leak. And again, and it doesn't have to be just roofs. I mean, again, some clients, they get a pipe burst, and the water just, it flows, dude. The water is just fast running when your pipe explodes. I mean, but on the roofing end of it, what I would say is multiple spots. If you always have your little moisture meter with you, ask the homeowner, hey, do you have any leaks in the house? Any visible leaks? Yeah, I got a couple here. Can I see them? Send me the picture. For me, even if it's not worth, or I just, the client, the cash value to, not doing a claim and doing the network cash is not worth it for the client, I'll still look at it for them, and I'll recommend them, the easiest steps. I don't care. For me, It's all about helping the homeowner. It's not, oh man, I got an insurance claim for you, Adam. Here, knock it out, bro. Yeah. Go make 10 grand for the mold. And I don't mind looking over anything for a homeowner and say, hey, buddy, I recommend you do X. It's going to cost you $2,500. If you need something, give me a ring. I don't mind that either.
Here's what I would run into a lot too, man. Is like I would have to put these tarps up, and it was how I got my my leads basically for that was I would get dispatched. The restoration company would dispatch me, but they were getting all of their leads from a public adjusting company. That public adjusting company would obviously be signing whatever they thought possible, right? I'd get to spots where and this was more often than not, where it was a tile, especially if there's this one community out in Davenport. Just every single one that I talked to, it was the same consistent issue, was the flashing, right? Where where it's like a dead valley, right up against the sidewall, the stucco, and that's where it's leaking in the garage. And I would tarp it, and I'd get a tarp kind of snug in there. But let me ask you this: how do you guys like, what's the likelihood you're getting paid on something like that, where it's obviously coming in? It could use all of the water entry stuff, but in the end of it, like without having a PA or something like that on there, or an attorney really pushing the envelope, obviously that's a failure from the installation, right? That it's not a storm event that caused it. Are you guys getting paid for that because your services are still necessary, or is it even more challenging?
That's a good question to ask. Again, for us, probably would not get paid that much, because at the end of the day, it's going to fall on the homeowner for not mitigating that. Because again, it's not a pipe burst, it's not an AC leak, it's not roof damage. It's just shitty installation, and the homeowner just noticed it too late, And unfortunately for the homeowner, because who the hell is going in the garage every week going like this,
Yeah. Well, that garage door comes up, and then you don't see it. Your back's to the door as it's sliding down.
Exactly.
Most people don't see that,
For me, it's like I tell a homeowner, I don't mind helping you open the claim. I don't mind doing the work to see what happens. But we kind of have to have a gentleman's agreement to where, hey, look, I'll do the job for you, but if I don't get paid, I'll just charge you cost. I won't even get the fuck off. Because again, I don't mind helping a homeowner out. But again, if the claim is not substantial, and and a lot of these garage leaks are not substantial, right? You kind of have to negotiate with the homeowner. Say, hey, buddy, look, I'm not going to charge you a crazy amount, but I'm just going to charge you what it costs me to do the job. My labor, my gas, if it's hotel for my guys, and that's it. It is challenging. I agree with that. It's challenging to get paid for something where there's no real cause of damage. Because again, remember, every contract you sign, what is one of the most important things in that contract? Date of loss.
Right.
Date of loss is my pipe exploded in my bathroom. My kitchen sink pipe, the little exploded there. My roof, there's a hailstorm and my roof is leaking everywhere. My bathroom, pipes exploded. Whatever it is, my sewage, there's all cast iron things. They explode all the time.
Have you gotten to the point, like, are you ever in a situation where you're helping the homeowner with the claim? Like, do you initiate any of the claim process?
Yes,
ever?
I have. We're allowed to. You can legally say, hey, I'm at Mr. Collins' home. He has a couple of leaks here. We would like to open a claim for him. And just it's how the homeowner walk them through it. Say, hey, when did this first start? Do you think? They give you a date. Write that date down. Where's the damage? Write that damage down. Take pictures.
So are you doing like data find? Is that kind of like your
Pretty much.
Yeah.
In these cases where, the homeowner doesn't really know what's going on, it's just a leak. They don't know where it came from. I don't mind going to your house for 3 hours and just looking at everything and looking at your policy, seeing if we can even do anything. Because some of these policies have a mold exclusion.
right?
Some policies don't even have the mold cap. So it's like, hey, man, if there's mold in your house, good luck, bud. So
So how do you determine that? Like, is that you look at their deck page and it just kind of tells you?
yeah, deck page. Again, if you're trying to do this for anyone listening, you want to do restoration or roofing, get comfortable with reading deck pages. They're the easiest thing to read when you know how to do it. I mean, again, look for wind, hail, or other loss. Is that, covered? Yes. There's the check mark. Okay, move on. Next thing. Mold coverage. 10K limit. It's there. Yes. Dry rot fungi exclusion. It's included. Yes. It's very simple. Again, a lot of these restoration guys are just guys that, oh man, I saw my cousin made, $13,000 on the claim and it's so easy. Dude,
Right.
you got to look at the policy, man. You will get burned. You will get burned. And that's the homeowner's fault. Again,
Dude.
the homeowner in Florida wants the cheapest possible thing right now.
When I first got started in this industry, I remember I lost one of my jobs. I was out there 4 or 5 days out of the week, and I was signing 2 deals every day. And I'll be honest, I was only working from about 6 to dark. So in the prime time, that was sweet. Like, I'd get out there for a couple hours, write 2 contracts, go home, and I was done.
Of course.
But there were times when I didn't understand the process, and I'd get calls from homeowners like, "Hey, we didn't get enough. We're not going to move forward." And I'm like, "Damn, that sucks." And then come to realize that what they did was they got the ACV payment, and they didn't know how to read the scope of loss.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I also kind of wanted this podcast to be there to do, is be like, help people kind of look in the spots that they're just just thinking over. A lot of the times, and we have to be real careful with, I don't know if that's technically interpreting policy, but what the deck page says. And if they're like, well, what's my deductible going to be for this? And be like, well, if this is a hailstorm, it should be under all perils. I won't point it out to them or anything like that. I'll just be like, look, if you take a look on your deck page, it should be under your all perils, or sometimes there is a separate, wind and hail deductible. But
Correct.
for the most part, there's a lot of people out here selling roofs don't even know that,
Dude, yeah, there's guys doing shrink wrap and mold jobs that have no idea that there's possibly a mold exclusion in a policy, and I think that's the thing is the education that for this podcast is the education of everybody. Everyone can learn something from everyone here. I can learn something from a roofer can learn something from me, a PA can learn from this, someone can learn from that. I think I would describe a homeowner situation is, step one. If I'm noticing leaks, I'm noticing damage, something.
Right.
Step one is either, document all damage, take as many photos as you can. Call a vendor, call a roofer if it's a roof, call a PA if it's interior, call a restoration company or a plumber if it's a water damage. You know what I mean? If it's a pipe burst, call a service vendor that proves you're mitigating your home, because that's one of the biggest things the carrier will say was this is the homeowner's responsibility. When something happens, they have to mitigate their loss.
And I'm getting that a lot now, actually, because there was a good hailstorm that came through last year. I had a series of maybe like 6 or 7 different claims that we all filed like in that time frame based on that data, that event. And I mean, insurance companies are like sending out late notices of loss. They're like, wait, why are you just filing this now? And because they know they're just about to be out that window. But realistically, it's like, look, the homeowner's not going to get up there. They don't know that it happened. Some of them don't have active leaks, and even if they did, I mean, nobody's walking around like this all day. Nobody's looking up at the ceiling. You'd be surprised how many times I get into homes and there's leaks all over the place because I'm looking up, I'm trained to do so,
Exactly.
and they're like, oh my god, I didn't even know that was there. I was like, yeah,
dude, no, this is how it goes. You're walking around your house, oh shit, a leak. That's usually most people what happens, and I think that's for where the homeowner, again, if you have the time, I know it sucks to be reading paperwork. Sit down on a weekend and read your policy. Read what is covered. Read what your limits are. Because again, this was a big problem when what was it, a Dahlia, if I'm not mistaken, that hit Apalachicola, the Big Bend area. Was that what they called it, that hurricane?
When was it?
The one last year, that Big Bend hurricane hit Apalachicola, that whole area.
Yes, yeah. It was, yeah.
Prime example is Hurricane Adalia. There were people who had insurance, but their homes were just, little mobile homes, little trail. They only had 40K in limits,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's just not enough for a roofer, a PA, an attorney, for everyone to help you out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of stuck in this, this poison trap of, do I just file the claim and, get 60%
Right.
of my money? Or do I just suck it up and, pay whatever cash I have, which people in that region, unfortunately, that's the poorest part of Florida. They don't have that kind of cash, man. They don't got
Right.
8 Gs, to fix the inside and put a new roof on top of the mobile home. That just doesn't exist.
You got to think too. I mean, and I can't tell you how often I go through that process with a homeowner. I tell them like, look, this is what this in layman's terms, this is what they're saying. This is what it means. This is what it means to you, right? Because there is I'm sure you've heard of Black's book of law, right? Where there's legalese.
Yeah.
And it's not for, there's almost like that level of like discernment when they're explaining stuff. Everything that they're explaining is from their side of the page. To the homeowner, I mean, that sounds like, oh man, like now it's overwhelming. Now there's a lot of facts. And because there's a lot of facts, there's more distrust with the contractor because, number one, we'll be lucky if that contractor actually knows what's going on.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
two is that contractor also needs to hear what they said and then convey it to the homeowner. Say, all right, look, this is what's happening. This is what's going to go down. This is the things that you need to do. But here's the best part is that you don't need to really know you don't really need to know most of that, because I'm going to kind of walk you through the process. If you'll trust me, right? Because you've got to trust one of the two people. You've either got to trust the insurance company more than me,
Or you're
yourself, or you got to trust somebody who works for you, is dependent on your reviews, dependent on your referrals, and dependent on your being happy in order to make sure I'm satisfied at the end of this job. So you have to trust one of us, right, in order to let us carry out the process. And a lot of people, they don't want to trust you. They just met you, they called you out there, they see that you've got your commission breath, and they think that that's all it is. And it's like, yeah, of course, but you got to understand something. Like, do you think that they're giving you the full picture? Are they going to give you from A to Z what you need to be doing? Did they tell you that you're probably going to need to be, while this roof is going up, out there taking pictures to make sure that you have a good argument for getting paid for that at the end of this process? Like, you're going to have to project manage this whole thing, send everything back and forth. Now, whether you have the time or not, it's not about that. If and some folks don't have the time, that's why they send me over.
Yeah, like the call. Yeah, they don't
exactly.
This. Yeah.
But the other thing is, like, do you have the know-how? Do you know what they're looking for? Do you think that they're going to clearly state what you need to go up there and take a picture of, or from the ground get a picture of, to make sure that they can pay you for it?
Even the easy stuff. Do you know that you have to build a containment for mold so you don't contaminate the rest of your house? Probably don't know that as a homeowner. You know what I mean?
What is that?
A containment. So, for example, it's the plastic barrier you got to put up when you're doing a mold job. So you go inside and cut it out. The mold spores are not leaking all over the house. For a homeowner.
Talk about that wrap, like when you guys do the cutouts, there's that plastic wrap that's.
No, this is like it's like a chamber, dude. Like a
quarantine.
Like a quarantine, like in the horror movies, you got a quarantine and go in the little chamber.
Yeah,
you gotta put an air chamber, dude. So where you're doing the work, you're not contaminating the home. And I know mid companies who don't give a shit. Hey, mold's there, got it out, bro. There's no containment. There's no.
Be honest, dude. I've worked behind probably 3 or 4 different MIT companies. I don't think I've seen them do that one time. And now maybe I wasn't on the right projects, but I didn't see it.
I recommend it. You need to build some form of containment. You have to, because
I did this though. I did this. I remember I was doing basement waterproofing for a little while. I ended up leaving because of all the crawl spaces I had to get into and the disgusting shit that was in there.
Yeah.
They sold it to me and they were like, yeah, you're going to be in these basements. You're going to be knocking on the ground, doing these investigations. And I was like, kind of like roofing, right? And then I think I was on my 3rd or 4th crawl space. And I was like, man, are we running promotions or something for like these crawl spaces? Get these guys out. And they're like, oh no, that's like 90% of where you're going to be. And I was like, fuck that, dude. Yeah, they had a guy who died, some sort of crazy viral infection, and he died, and he worked there a couple of years before I did. Crawling around, I guess he either got hit by a nail or something, but they were telling me like, yeah, if you really want to earn points, go in there and grab the dead animals out of there. I was like, fuck that, dude, I'm good. Again, so good.
People don't realize how bad these sports can be. I think for me, honestly, that's the easy job to get paid, is a mold job.
Well, that's where I was going with that, is that they were saying, because a lot of times, you'd have those basements filling up with water. So what they would
Mm-hmm.
do is they'd find presence of mold. They take these little EPA test strips,
Yep.
find presence of mold, and then there'd be a dehumidifier sitting there, taking all those mold spores and basically just shooting them off into other areas, because they would run that same EPA thing and it would turn purple after that with the solution, and it would be shooting all over the rest of the house, and they're going like, you're just gonna get up a mold over there too. The whole basement is
Brother,
moist.
yeah, brother, you don't know how many guys don't change the filters of the air scrubbers in this industry. It is ridiculous. It's if you're going to a new house, do a new job, change out that HEPA filter, man. Change it out. Throw it away. It doesn't matter. Who cares if it costs 25, 40, whatever it costs, $100? Who cares? Dump it.
Yeah.
You know, you're just spreading the mold from that last house into this house. You know, again, I think that's the problem from the carrier's end of it, is they're just seeing so many people half-assing stuff that they're just, why am I paying for this? You know what I mean? And again, look, for me, I can kind of side with the carrier sometimes. You know, again, I don't.
I get it. Yeah.
Or fuck citizens and fuck the carrier and they don't pay. It's like, dude, look at the job you did. Why would they pay you?
Yeah. Well, if they come into a house, I mean, you got torn up floorboards in areas where there was no leaks. You know what I mean? They're breaking tile and scraping it off the floor, and they're like, oh, well, it was wet underneath. Like,
did you test that? Did you?
They didn't. They don't test it. There's no proof. Sometimes there's not even pictures. And but yeah, that's the thing too, is, and to your point is, they're not changing out filters. There's companies I know, they're just taking them, they're just throwing them right back into a storeroom and shooting them right back out to the next job. Dude, that education,
be like that. It can't be like that.
Just like a roofing salesperson, man, that education's not really readily available to people. There's so many things that I see people do on a regular basis. I'll come behind them and I'll be like, man, I feel bad, like I'm going to take this job from this guy because he didn't know that, but that's not it's not my fault. It's the fault of whoever's in charge of training that person. Because I mean, what forums do we have? We have a lot of sales. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to learn about roofing, they'll teach you how to sell it all fucking day.
Yeah, the roof hustler, the Adam Bensman guy. There's so many ways to get a roof. And now watch videos.
I've read Adam Bensman's book, and I actually really like I like his content a lot. I like what he's doing. I just saw today there's a program that they're doing, kind of like all the shit we're talking about. He's getting together with he's gotten together with a bunch of other people who are kind of like pillars in the industry to kind of help with educating more of the salespeople about the roofing industry, bills and shit like that are getting passed. So he's actually making some real great moves. I can't wait to meet that dude, because I want to pick his brain so bad.
You have to continuously educate yourself in this industry.
For sure.
I mean, again, if there's a new law that passes, forget an attorney. Google it. Even if you
we don't fucking find out about it until like 2 or 3 months before it pops off.
Exactly. Like, I was one of the first people that found out. Well, not the first, but again, my attorney called me ASAP. He said, "Look, AOB's gone, bro. That's it." And this was right, that hurricane season of Ian hitting, where everyone was like, "Oh man, AOB is great. We're gonna AOB everything." Blah blah blah. Dude, I found out in 10 minutes. AOB passed. The laws passed. Don't worry, AOB.
Yeah, that was SB 76, right?
Yeah. And dude, you gotta educate yourself.
That was the one that was gonna annihilate. That was gonna annihilate the roofing industry in Florida. That was gonna annihilate it.
It killed a lot of mid companies. There's a lot of guys that went under, and they just quit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is they quit before they threw it out. There was a lot of companies that went under, and then they ended up throwing most of that shit out because it was a violation of speech.
Exactly.
Speech.
Exactly. So it's hard. Again, it's a hard industry. Again, it's a worthwhile industry. I think this is one of the best industries you could be in as a small business owner, because you can grow it. It's what you want to do with it. If you want to do 2 more jobs a month, cool.
Yeah.
You want to do 15? Even better. This is an issue where you can continuously learn and help yourself to actually live that American dream. Because what's the point today?
I was in the throes of my tarping business at that point, and I mean, I was making so much money, dude. It was just such good money. I was going out there to basically do CrossFit. Like, I would go do a CrossFit on top of a roof.
You just exercise, lifting 80-pound DQs and dropping them 80-pound. It's exercise, dude. It's, again, you're helping people. Again, this is a good business. You're helping people, dude.
Yeah, I know, but I was terrified, man. And it was like one thing that was an exception for me is that I was actually doing tarps. I was doing 16 mil tarps, and I was warrantying those 16 mil tarps for 5 months. So
Jesus.
Yeah,
if you do that stuff right now, you probably get all the business, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm telling you right now that I barely ever had to go back to my tarps. I really never did, because of the way. And once you go back to like 3 or 4, you figure out real fast what you fucked up.
Yeah.
And it was hard to
And
train other people to do it. Nobody gives a shit as much, man. Like there's certain ropes you got to use. There's certain kind of tarps you got to use. There's certain ways you got to hang them over ridges, and then there's ways you got to hold the tarp down so it doesn't tent.
Or same with the shrink wrap, bro. You gotta go underneath the fascia, nail underneath the fascia. Then you gotta heat it correctly. Don't overheat, because if you overheat, it'll rip. Then you gotta tape it, and that tape's useless. You know, it's continuous learning.
You're gonna have situations too where people are gonna be like, I can do this roof wrap, and they might even have crews and installers. But here's what I will tell you. For those of you guys, if you're listening, you're thinking about, getting into the roof wrap situation, just let Adam do it. And the reason being is I've been behind them a couple of times to take those off. Number one, I've seen how they're installed. Those things aren't going fucking anywhere.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. We try. But
to that effect though, like when we've got these, the worst thing I hated was doing the tarps on the fucking tile, man, because every time I got up there, it was such a challenge, because everything's all cut in certain ways, and it's not like a regular valley where you can just like a shingle where you can just run something up the valley and nail it in. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, you gotta, sometimes I've had to stagger 2 20x30s and put them in weird fucking angles, tie them and rope them around chimneys, and then anchor them at the ground. And if I had been in a situation where I could just do the roof wrap, dude, it would have been so much easier. It would have saved me so much time, headache, having to go back. It was always a tile I had to go back. Always.
Again, for tile, you are never going to blue tarp a tile correctly. And I even do this. For tile roofs, I throw in a 6-month warranty. Just in good faith. I don't care. I'll go back for it. And look, secretly, again, the people who listen to this, secretly speaking, even if it's past 6 months, I'll do you the solid. I'll go fucking anyways. It's about the relationship and taking care of people. I don't care.
How often do you think you're even going back to those though? After they're set.
Oh my God. Let's say I do 100, I'll go back to 2 maybe in a year.
Yeah.
Maybe. Shrink wrap's just so it just lasts long, man. It's a drum. It's like a tight drum. When you're banging on a drum, water's not getting in there. It's pretty wind resistant. Again, look, this is not titanium, people. This is if a category 3 comes, shrink wrap's going.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be honest with each other. But they'll survive 40, 50 mile per hour little tropical depressions, little quick ones. They'll survive it. They last.
There was a couple when I went over to work, Ian, man, there was a couple that I know Ian came through and ripped the shit out of it, but the only time I ever seen them where they were only partially off. And if you look at them, it looked like debris is what caused it. Because like you can see tears in it and stuff like that.
Yeah. If it's a tree smacking against it, it'll rip it off. But again, they're not hard to repair. They're not crazy. And I don't mind going out for a client to make sure the client is protected. Because again, there's money in shrink wrapping. Everyone knows this. It's just the problem for people to do shrink wrap is it's fucking expensive, bro. Mm-hmm. It's not cheap. This is not hire 2 guys, throw a $100 tarp on there and sit on it for 6 months. No, this costs thousands of dollars to do. It is not cheap, And
right.
And I think that's why we try to educate homeowners on the shrink wrap and why we recommend shrink wrap over blue tarp, just because you're getting something that it's costing me money. Because for some of these guys that do blue tarps, who gives a fuck if I lose $400? Okay. And who cares? But who gives a fuck? You lose 3, 4, 5, 6 grand. Who cares then? Yeah, you're gonna care a fucking lot about the homeowner because you want it to last, you want it to look good for them, and you want to get paid at the end of the day.
Yeah, here's the thing too, like customer satisfaction. That's the ultimate goal, and why we do it. When you got that roof wrap up there, I'm a huge advocate for it.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
The reason being is, at the end of the day, it's the one thing that pissed me off the most about doing the tarps is like, yeah, we would get these windstorms. Sometimes I'd be out of my 5-month or whatever. I would still go do it. But the pain in the ass is that, like, I know if I'm doing it now, like, let's say I'm doing it this time of year, well, my 5-month warranty might as well be dog shit because I'm coming out here a couple times and I get a call every time it fucking rains for like 3 or 4 people, especially when we had that hurricane. And I was going back out to people.
Yes.
Ian, when that came through, I had like 7 or 8 people I had to go back to, and I'm like, fuck, now I'm busy. Now I don't have time to get back out here, but I had to prioritize it because they've got active leaks. And then sometimes, dude, this is the worst one, where it didn't move, but the homeowner's like, I can hear it flapping around in the wind up there. I'm like,
that's the worst one.
Would you rather the leak? Would you rather the leak? Because I mean,
exactly.
So I have to go spend more money on some more sandbags just to hold it down so you can't hear.
That's what it's great, dude. I mean, again, when it's heated, it's skin tight. If it rains, you're not gonna notice it any different than you would normally.
For real.
They keeps them quiet,
keeps them happy. Look,
Yep.
dry is quiet. That's ultimately the way it is.
Correct.
If you can
Correct.
keep them dry and just let everyone do what they're doing, you can keep moving. Then when you're done, I mean, what was that? A 40 square piece that I took off?
Yeah, he took off about 40 squares from me. Yep.
I didn't need to change my razor blade on my razor one time, dude. So I just
It's marine.
right
It goes on, you're
it
done.
comes out
Easy.
nice, comes off nice and easy. I mean, so if you're talking about crews and stuff like that, they don't give a shit. They're gonna cut it and they're just gonna keep moving. It's fine. But
Correct.
yeah, ultimately it's probably one of the better products that have actually been introduced in the market to the last 10 years.
No, it works great. And again, I think for a hurricane, it's specific clientele because I think moving forward, a lot of these carriers are not gonna want to pay for shrink wrap on shingle.
Hmm.
I see that's what's next. Let's see. I think tile roofs and metal
Hmm.
roofs, shrink wrap that thing. Do not
100%.
bother with the blue tarp, dude. You're going to just be there 3 or 4 times in the span of 6 months, and then what?
I don't even dude. If I the second I know it's a tile and it's going to be a claim and we've got active leaks, that's the first conversation I'm having. Is like,
Yeah,
okay, now have we thought about how we're going to keep this water out? There's a couple options. I'd like to share those with you. And my first one is like, all right, here's the tarp. Here's what you're going to experience. We can do it. It's going to be relatively cheap. The insurance company will likely pay for it.
yeah.
And this is what it looks like. Here's what I would do if it was my home. And then that's when I kind of spin it to you. So, I
Appreciate
mean,
that. No, and it's again, we don't go after homeowners, man. That's not the goal here. I'm not here to make the homeowner's life a living nightmare.
mhm,
If you have a roofing company and you're probably gonna go to lit because everything in Florida these days is going to litigation.
mhm.
Look, man, we'll give the invoice to the attorney and we're negotiable. I do not need $5.50 a square foot for shrink wrap. I'm negotiable, man. I mean, I'm not gonna get my numbers out there, to
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
world, but we're negotiable, man. We're not greedy here. At the end of the day, it's about helping you, the homeowner.
Your entire audience is thinking exactly the same thing, though. It's like, look, they know that they're after $800 a square too. So, I mean, are they going to get it? No. I mean, at the end of it, it's a wish list, right? Just like the Christmas story.
Just
That's that
Santa,
Red Rider.
just like begging Santa for a motorcycle, and your dad gets you a
Yeah,
bicycle.
yeah.
It
That's
ain't
their
shit, bro.
that lever action Red Rider rifle that he wanted, right? Now he
Yup,
got it in that
exactly.
scenario. Sometimes we do get it, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes,
And I'll be upfront. I'll be honest. I mean, it's very, very rare to get paid full invoice on a shrink wrap.
yeah,
To all my homeowners out there, I'll show you the estimate. I don't mind. And the estimate's gonna be a little scary because shrink wrap is expensive. But I can almost guarantee you, I'm not getting the full invoice, man. I'm not. We're negotiable. Again, everyone knows the insurance game in Florida. If I bill it for $2 a foot or $1 a foot or 50 cents a foot, guess what? They're gonna cut me in half anyways. If
yeah,
I bill 50 cents to citizens, they're gonna say, "Can you take 25 cents?"
yeah.
So
That's
why
the name of
bill
the
it?
game.
That's the name of the game, man. That's how it works, man. This is how it works.
So did you end up did I send you that link for the that roofing and solar community?
No, I need that link, brother. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I need it.
I'm gonna send that to you. So
That's-
eventually I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna share some of these episodes on there on the roofing and solar group. I would recommend you get on there.
Hell yeah.
That community itself is it's thriving, man. Everybody's out
Awesome.
there. They're offering selfless tips. Just like, look, there's gonna there's definitely a lot of change coming into the industry. And it has been
Yeah,
for a while.
let me ask you now. I mean, spit it on you. As a roofing guy, where do you see the future of this industry going in the next 5 years or 2 years or 3 years?
So I feel like it can go two avenues, right?
Okay.
And ultimately, the reason that I think it's going to be the latter is because not everybody is not everything is Florida, but I think
Sure.
that the first way that it could probably go is that we're going to see a lot more of that control, a lot more of those bills and laws coming into play that are ultimately going to hurt the contractor and working with the insurance proceeds. I see a lot more ACV policies. I definitely think that we're going to deal with a lot of arbitration, which the arbitrators, I was told, and I got somebody who's going to come on and actually talk about it, but the arbitration process is going to pretty much crush a lot of our negotiations. Because, if you go to appraisal, you've got the two opposing councils or whatever, two opposing parties, and then you've got the
Yes.
umpire. The umpire
Yeah.
makes that dictation on what it's going to cost to replace it, and then that they can live with that, right?
Sure.
I do think that you can go to litigation after the umpire, like let's say, for instance, it's a tile and they say, well, 1,300 a square, but you want 14, you can go to litigation after that and combat that. You go to an arbitrator, which a lot of times you're not going to get to pick the arbitrator, the insurance company's going to.
Yes.
And that arbitrator can say, we're going to give you $20 for this roof. That's fuck all. You can't do anything after that. So that's it. And I do think we're going to see a lot more of that. Now, here's the thing. These are also companies that have a client base. If there's enough information out there that can kind of sway what ends up happening. But the ACV policies, the arbitration, I think we're going to see more of high percentage deductibles for wind and hail, ultimately to the point where everything's going to be covered except for the roof. And if it is, it's going to be to an extent. So that's the first path I think we're going to go in. Now, realistically, here's the thing. Just like tires on your car, you need a roof, right? So I think it's going to call the herd as far as like where the roofing companies are, what they understand. I mean, they won't be able to hire somebody who was working, selling cars the week before, and now they're rock star roofing salesperson, because there's a different kind of salesperson there. You've got your insurance salesperson, you've got your retail, and very seldom do they both have that same skill set. Correct. There's tips and tools and negotiations you need as a retail salesperson and closing tactics that you just aren't necessary. There's also, with the retails, you got to know how to measure a roof, interpret the components of a roof, and all of the things that need to get replaced, understand building code and back and forth, things of that nature. Whereas in insurance, they wait for the insurance company to tell them what to do. They work off those proceeds and they get a slice of the pie. So you have your order taker, and then you have your craftsman, as far as I'm concerned. Now, sometimes they dabble. People get used to doing both.
Yeah, you go in and out. Yeah.
Not as much, but I think what it's going to do is really hinder the companies that have that order taker, where they're like, we're going to get a bunch of door knockers, get a bunch of leads. Now, they might still have a canvasser platform where they're accruing business, but it'd be closer to service companies that are doing that, like, basement waterproofing, pest control, telecom, things of that nature, where it's going to be like, yeah, just come up, sign it, and then the commissions will start getting reduced heavily. It's not going to draw a lot of attention in this field. So it is, of course, you're going to see less people in the field. And there's, going to be the avenue for advancement, but realistically, it's going to be young cats who either see the opportunity or don't. But I think it really is going to diminish and hurt a lot of companies. Now, here's the thing. That will come with its own pluses. It's going to hurt the economy pretty substantially. Sure. But there's going to be benefits to that. That's where I think we can see it kind of heading right now. The other avenue I see it is where, they're going to kick into some of these, some of these laws and regulations and things like that. And it might be closer to what it looks like in states like Georgia, North Carolina, where there is limitations. You're not really going to have much use for an attorney or PA. There, you won't be able to contest as much. Now, here's the thing. This is kind of like Noah's Ark, right? The story of Noah's Ark, where you have that great flood, and then, but after you see you see the sunshine at the end of it, right? It's going to hurt a lot of people in the industry, but it is going to compel everybody to be a little bit more savvy on that front end. There'll have to be more of that craftsman person, right, to interpret, hey, is this damage? What are the components? And you'll have to take a little bit more of that claim into your hands, as far as having that, or compelling the adjusters to pay for the roof and stuff, like desk adjusters pay for that roof. But it'll also make the industry a little bit more honest, because if we are honest, there's a lot of companies out there who are just signing bullshit up. They got reps out there, don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. They're just signing whatever they can to get a buck, dude. Again, commission bread, people want to get paid, and I get it in the beginning. You're starting off, oh man, a gung-ho, you want to get as many sales as you can. Dude, if you're just honest with people, they're not going to fuck you. Just be honest, man. If it's not worth your time, just tell the homeowner, buddy, look, you got to pay some cash for this thing. That's it.
There are companies, and I know that there's companies right now that just had a platform where they're paying a very high commission upfront for that contingency contract. But with that, is people are just flooding it with that and sending it to an attorney. That's what fucked us up, right? Is getting all those companies. There's nothing up there. They're kicking it to an attorney. They know they can bully the insurance company into paying for this shit. Well, look, by doing that, what they've fucking done is it's the Ouroboros, where they're the snake eating its own tail. Is you're just limiting how long you're going to be able to do this. That's a short game, not a long game.
Dude, the AOB was in Florida for 100 years, and within 4 years they killed it. They ruined it, dude. Irma killed it, and again, it was a lot of Miami contractors, dude. It's a big thing in Miami. Miami's not to name names, but Miami is a very scam city.
Yeah,
it's no. Well,
they were in Orlando, they were in Tampa, they were all over the state. I mean, and there was several different companies doing it, but so going back to this now, if you look at what that looks like at the end game, take out a lot of the attorneys, take out a lot of public adjusters. Not saying I want this route, but if that route does persist, because that's either going to be a world where it's all going to attorney and public adjuster, right? And there's limitations on everything that you've got, and people are only getting partially compensated for the entire roof replacement. Or you've got the industry where a lot of those companies those practices starts getting washed away and that's ultimately what they're intending. But you've got a more honest basis of people who are actually going through the claims process. Because now, I don't know if you're paying attention, but me personally, right? Because I've been in an admin managerial position probably the last couple of years. And then before that, I was just doing TARP. So I was kind of out of the process, right? I was understanding and getting to learn other aspects of the industry. Sure. But what I actually had a fear, because I was seeing so many things go to an attorney and public adjuster. I was like, fuck, can you even do this anymore? Can you do this? Go out there and not lean on all these fucking people to get this job done for you. Now, do I use them and when I need to? Yes, absolutely. Because I believe that the customer was wrongfully denied. So I'll let them know, hey, look, these are your options, and there are people that you can speak to that can escalate this. But that being said, I was in the position where I was getting started back into sales, and I'm like, fuck it, let me try it, and I just don't call them bullshit, man. If I'm not 70% sure, if I don't have an argument and I'm not 70% sure I want to put the homeowner through that bullshit, I just don't sign it. Or I'll tell them, like, look, just like I did in Georgia, I'll be like, look, it's close. Like, you got a couple more years of life left on this. Maybe let's hang on. Let's not file the claim today. If you still need to have a roof, if you've got to have a roof, the insurance company is making you replace the roof, then these are your two options. Here's my level of certainty that this will get pushed through on the claim, given who your carrier is and what kind of damage is up there. Now, have I been wrong? Yeah, I have. Have I flung spaghetti and they come out and pay for something I didn't see happening? Yes. Right. It happens. But there are times when I'm like, I've got certain shit here, and the adjuster comes out and they're just like, no, there's nothing here. I'm like, are you fucking blind? Like, look here, look here, look here, look here. It's not blistering. So realistically, I think what it's going to compel the market to do in either facet, it's going to compel the people who are involved in this market to just have a higher pedigree of what they know. And I'll be honest, the average, now this was true years ago, like when you have bigger institutions, the bigger it was, the training was typically better with in the some of the Georgia states, or Georgia, North Carolina, those areas. I saw that the bigger their institution was, the better their training was. So I'd meet these guys out there and they fucking understand all of it. But when I came down here and started talking to people who are doing this job down here, they don't know the difference between an all perils and a hurricane deductible. They don't know they don't know how to read an estimate. A lot of them don't know how to write read a scope.
Can't read on Xactimate. Yeah.
You've got such differences of ability there. Like they don't understand it because it's low hanging fruit. All they had to do was go out there and grab the contracts. The money was still good, but they're writing 10 fucking deals a week. And I'm like, cool, man, that's great. And I'm all for writing 10 deals a week. I've done it myself. I also remember the workload that came with that fucking 10 deals a week. And when it came to like 3 weeks after that, I couldn't do shit because I was on adjuster appointments. I was running back and forth trying to get things figured out. So like you can probably write 10 deals a week, but it's not sustainable with the model of being fully involved into your claim. Whereas if you've got companies that are writing 10 deals a week and all they have to do is just sign that fucking thing and keep moving, they're good. That is sustainable. You can do that. That's all you're doing is taking orders, Correct. Some companies want that. They don't want all the information in the hand of the sales associate. So they take it over. But then now that's all that makes you top heavy as far as like how much you're paying your admin staff.
Right.
Like, is that sustainable if these guys stop producing, or you have a mass exodus and somebody fucks you and takes three of your top guys and goes starts his own company with it? Could you sustain all that workload while not having other business in? And we're watching the economy right now, fucking dip diving with all of that shit. The last year has been super slow. Didn't have that storm. A lot of companies
Everyone's
losing
waiting.
accounts. Yep, they're losing accounts at all the suppliers. And I talked to a lot of them, and I know that their companies, they're opening accounts at all these other different branches. They're losing people. Nobody wants there. I've met people who are killers in this industry. Don't want to do roofing anymore. Yeah, it's fucking brutal. And realistically, you ask me, if I had a crystal ball, what do I think? Ultimately, I think it's going to be the same rule that it always was, and it's 80-20, man. 20% of who's doing this now is probably going to be the ones that outlast. Some of those people are going to see the opening in the market, maybe start throwing shit, but a lot of these guys, I think they're going to the smart ones are going to find an outfit that they can stick this out with. Maybe they do go start their own company, and that's cool.
Maybe.
I personally don't want the fucking liability, man. I could go get my license, do all that. I would much rather work for a good profit share model in a good, reliable company with a good message. Now, will it stay that way for the rest of my life? Maybe not. Maybe I will go open my own outfit. But I know that in the current climate, I wouldn't fucking open one now. Just like I wouldn't really be looking into buying investment properties right now. I wouldn't be looking to invest. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, in Florida at least.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard industry just because of the fact of all these law changes that happen back to back. First you lose AOB, and then 5 months later, right when Ian hits, you lose attorney fees.
Yeah.
It's one of those things to where it's like, man, these attorneys were eating good, getting, their bills paid by the carrier. They're charging 30 grand. They don't care. They're getting the money. And now it's become like, oh shit, I got to charge 10% or else I'm going to be ran out of business because no one's paying 30.
Right.
And I think it's going to level the market down. You're going to see in the next year or two, maybe 3, every attorney is charging 10% because the guys that charge 30, they just can't afford. Dude, why would I go with you? Even if you're a shitty attorney, I'll take the 10% guy.
Yeah.
Versus the guy who's decent, and I'll take the 30. Why would I lose 20% of my bill as a homeowner just because this guy's a so-called better attorney? I've seen shitty attorneys hit home runs.
Yeah, and honestly too, I mean, they can't stay shitty forever. I mean, even if they're taking 10%, they're shitty now. They're not a lawyer because they're fucking stupid and couldn't figure it out.
They're going to get better.
It'll probably be a lot of attorneys coming in from other avenues, maybe even coming from the insurance side. They'd be like, I'm going to go open my own practice. But these people will get better, and they'll start increasing their fees and stuff like that.
Correct. And we're going to see with PAs too. I think it might be a PA exodus just because of the fact that if you're still stuck with, let's say a hurricane hits, hits Clearwater. For example, who knows, Pensacola maybe. If these PAs think that a homeowner is going to sign for 10% and then say, hey, this is not working, we need an attorney for 30, they're going to laugh you out the door, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard.
You got to be a good PA to last right now, I think is what it is. All these PAs are just setting claims up, not giving a fuck. They're not going to make any money anymore.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about how the PAs are going to have a difficult time over the next couple of years.
Hell yeah.
I haven't done any, and I'm going to. I actually got some people I'm going to be talking to soon, talking about they're coming up with some more legislation that's going to try and affect us. But I mean, realistically, man, the only way to tell, man, is just to tough it out. And I will say this, man. I was trying to say before, I was terrified when I was doing tarping of what SB 76 was going to do to me. And how it was going to affect.
I was shitting myself.
Everybody was.
What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, everybody was fucking terrified that was just going to shut everybody's doors, and a lot of it got thrown out. I mean, there's coalitions of people who are fighting on our side, and now we've got people like for what it looks like. I haven't looked into it, but like Adam Bensman and his group looks like they're going to kind of start campaigning and pushing for some of the stuff that. We're really hoping somebody comes in and has a voice. I'm hoping that this podcast actually does a little bit of that too.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Because look, I mean, again, the DTP is not that scary, guys. People are still going to pay what direction to pay. It's not that bad. Again, I know the world went into hullabaloo over the AOB being gone, and I was scared. But again, if you do the work correctly and you're just an honest worker, honest company, you will get paid. Trust me, you will get paid.
Yeah, I mean it's high risk, high reward, right? We're gonna have some losses and things of that nature,
Course,
and
of course.
ultimately, like, yeah, the AOB. I've worked for companies that did the AOB, and I've worked for companies that did the direction to pay. The conversation's pretty much the same as far as I'm concerned with the homeowner. Like, look, the AOB, yeah, we get all the proceeds, and then we're in charge of the entirety of the claim. Whereas the DTP is like, look, they're always going to pay you, right? You're going to get paid. We're just going to our name's likely going to be on that last check, and sometimes it's on the first, but it's likely going to be on that last check. And what this does is this helps secure that there's not going to be any issues at the end. It's only fair because those proceeds are payable to us anyway, right? This
Correct.
ensures that a homeowner that maybe not as nice or has as much integrity as you doesn't try to do something south, right? We
Correct.
don't want
And
them getting a pile of money and going to Vegas and putting it all on fucking red. We don't want that.
correct. And I think the thing is also, again, with the AOB, I get why the carriers removed it. I mean, the attorneys were charging a fucking buttload. I get it.
Yeah.
But it offered that sense of protection to where if this homeowner says, fuck you, I'm not even filing a lawsuit for my claim,
Mm-hmm.
I still had it in my back pocket. Hey, I'll just use an attorney then. That's fine. I'll just get an attorney to sue for at least my portion of the claim. And that's
Yeah.
fine. But now with the direction to pay, you gotta be on good terms with the homeowner, even if they're sneaky. Because the homeowner might say, hey, look, man, I don't know if I want to push through with a lawsuit for my claim.
Mm.
And then good luck on you to go charge the homeowner 11 G's for your bill that you give to the insurance company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've
so,
seen it happen.
It
Now,
happens, but
if they don't pay you, do you have a right to put liens on homes? Like, can you?
within 90 days, of the last, part of the job we did. Like, let's say I signed the client in November, but they're not available till December for the mold job. If I finish in December, I have until like March to file it within 90 days.
Okay.
But if the 90 days passes, what am I going to fucking do?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it is with insurance. Insurance doesn't pay in 90 days, dude. They pay in 6 months to a year.
Exactly. So, especially for what you're doing and what you're asking for. I've never seen them convert that I mean, there, especially anything I think that goes over $40,000, I think is always it's complete snail show. So,
Of course. And it's always over 40,000. Why? The roofer has his roof estimate. The shrink wrap guy has a shrink wrap. And usually I'm doing the mold job too at the same time, the met job too, because of the leak. So that bill is going to be 100 G's. So again, you're just going to be in a lawsuit forever, and you have to convince a homeowner, hey, buddy, this is worth suing. Do not drop this,
So we have a mutual contact. Her name is Laura.
Yes.
And so that's actually how we got in contact. I'm going to have her on the podcast too. She's one of the best supplement.
Awesome, man.
One of the best supplement writers.
I haven't spoken to her in a while. I love her though. She's the best.
Yeah, she's the best. She truly is an absolute monster when she gets on that Xactimate.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's an estimating fiend, dude. She's so good at what she does.
Have you she's got another friend who does what is it? Just restoration stuff. Like, that's all she does.
Well, I don't think I've been in contact with her. No.
Her name is Rhonda, but she's apparently very good. She's like, man, she does stuff on Xactimate that I would have thought possible. And that endorsement, if that's any endorsement coming from Laura, anybody she pretty much endorses,
anyone she endorses is good. Is good for sure.
But the reason I bring her up is because, have you thought about using just a supplement writer or something like that, or like, do you guys do that in house? What's your process?
Yeah, usually it's in house. We have an in house Xactimate lady, and she does Xactimate for kind of like Laura. She does it for other companies. You know what I mean? Kind of like Laura. And honestly, I should just ask Laura to start doing this stuff for me when it's a hurricane, because again, she does great work. She does great work.
She was working both coasts during Hurricane Ian. And she was like, man, I was learning all these different things, but every time I talk to her, she's got all this extra information. And when I first got down to Florida, I got in touch with her. I don't remember how. I think it was just because the company I was working for didn't do supplements and or didn't do insurance work. So I was just going to pay her to do it all on the side and run it as a retail through them, or at least that's what I was thinking. But I started talking to her, and I was like, damn. I was like, she helped me with that learning curve, because things were different down here.
Very different from Texas, North Carolina, and Florida's its own beast. There's not like insurance work in Florida, dude. It's very different. Very different.
I had her, and I had a friend that was a public adjuster, and between the two, I was able to disseminate pretty much how it functioned very fast. And still to this day, I go to her as a beacon and a resource. That's why I can't wait to have her on.
No, she's probably one of your best guests, I think, for sure, dude. I mean, she's just so much knowledge about what to write on an estimate, and what's fair to write, what you should write, what you shouldn't put in, how to get paid properly. I mean, she knows it all. She's great. She's great.
Well, either way, the reason I asked, I wanted to know if you did use it, was because in roofing, I mean, there's also the potential that, you know, I know a lot of companies use attorneys that use PAs,
Hmm.
and I've seen them throw it straight to a PA rather than just have a supplement writer who can not negotiate, but they can end up finding a settlement on, the things. And all they use is building code and things like that. They just don't argue or interpret policy. They interpret what the building code says and things of that nature. And that's a real strong platform. And that might very well be how a lot of the stronger ones do survive, as they come from the aspect of not being
Potentially,
working for the insurance, but working to
potentially.
make sure that all the codes are up to snuff and accounted for.
For sure. I think it's gonna be this year will be a big learning curve year to see what happens. Because again, all these laws have been passed. Insurance rates are still going up. I haven't heard one person tell me their policy dropped in price. I've
Yeah.
heard like one person. So again, are these laws really helping the homeowner? Probably not. Probably just lining the pockets of the carrier, but that's neither here
I'm
nor there.
I'm curious if there's people in other states also getting their rates risen for this shit that, all the policies down here. I wonder because, State
Yes.
Farm's got they're in every state, right? So, which to me, that's got to be how they're reaping, all the losses down here. Because if you think
I think
about it,
what they're doing is in other states they raise you, but not by much, like a couple $100. Like for example, I know State Farm left California. You know what I mean?
really, was it because of the
Yeah,
fires?
over wildfires. They're not
Wow.
insuring California anymore. And again, whether or not people want to believe in climate change, I don't care. That's your
Mhm.
business. What we're going to see as these storms get worse and these fires get worse, and as this stuff just gets worse in general,
Yeah.
you're gonna see some progressive saying, you know what, fuck Texas. I'm not insuring Texas. Look at Houston this
Yeah.
past weekend. That's insane. Dude, they had a category what, 2 hurricane basically just
Yeah.
strike Houston nowhere.
Dude, I'll say this, man. Like, I don't think there's much of a dispute that climate's changing. I think the dispute is how it's changing or why.
Correct. Correct.
But I mean, we're the level of volatility in storms just from when I first moved down here in 19 to
It's
what it is
crazy.
now. 25 named storms. I think they said 12 of them are going to be
Major. A
are going
major
to be
hurricane.
yeah, they're going to be cat. Oh no, no, I'm sorry. 12 of them are going to be hurricanes, and
Yep.
then three are going to be cat 3 or above, or I think
Jeez.
is what they said, or cat 2 or above. So
I mean, look, we again, every year is different. Look at what happened in Louisiana. I believe it was 2020. They
mhm,
got hit with 3 hurricanes back to back to back. Now, as an
mhm,
insurance company, how the fuck do you afford to even pay out homeowners from that? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I get it from the carrier's perspective. I understand, but people still need like protection. They still
got to
need
be
those.
from other states.
And they're getting it from other states, man. They're getting it from North Carolina or Wisconsin, or maybe nothing ever happens. I'm not sure.
Now,
There's stuff.
here's the thing too. That's also our federal tax dollars, because now I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that at the end of the year, FEMA comes in and helps those institutions out as well.
Of course they do. Of course they do. I mean, look at Louisiana. I'm pretty sure New Orleans, you're gonna eventually the next year, you gotta get a FEMA policy minimum for flood. Even if you don't live in a flood zone, you gotta get it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
again, insurance companies are just not willing to take that risk anymore. I mean, again, we're seeing everyone leave Florida. And it's gonna be one of
yeah.
those things where you gotta figure out how you're gonna make
Well,
money.
are they leaving? Are they leaving though? Because I mean, you got company like, what is it? St. John's ended up
St. John's
switching
left and came back as I think like tip tap or slide or one of those
slide.
things.
It's slide,
Yeah,
but I
like I
I
said,
I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that they were this. It was basically the same board. Like they
dude,
closed
they
their
cash
doors,
so money.
transferred everybody to slide. As
Yep.
like, hey, you guys will get, and then it was slide all over again. So I mean,
It's one of those things too where they're just choking the homeowner, dude. Like for example, Miami. If you own $1 million house in Miami, which at this point is becoming very common. I mean, a cheap house in a decent area is like 750 right now. Miami's expensive, dude.
wow.
It's getting super expensive right now. Dude, $1 million home, that policy is gonna be 18, 19 G's.
Hmm.
That's not cheap, man. I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like, at what point does the homeowner break?
Hmm.
That's my thing. At what point is it gonna be like, dude, I can't afford the mortgage and the insurance? At what point is it gonna be where the carrier is like passing relief?
Hmm.
Or the government's passing relief. Maybe they're subsidizing insurance for the homeowner in Florida.
Well, the only thing that they're going to be able to do really is pay these properties off and basically self-insure. I mean, and so the
Exactly.
only thing that's going to do is bring investors down here. I mean, you're going to have a complete rental situation down here, unless there's homeowners who can afford it. But
there's people with, but again, it's one of those things also where, let's say this is crazy number. Let's say it's a 20% self-insured state. Well, you just lost 20% of business from insurance companies for a hurricane because no investor is going to pay you what the insurance company pays you. You know, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where let's see what happens. I think we're going to, for the most part, everyone's going to be fine if they just, again, like we have been talking about for the past 2 hours, educate yourself, learn, educate yourself on how to not get fucked over by a homeowner insurance policy. Again, at the end of the day, this is a business where if you know what you're doing and you're doing it honestly and right, you will get paid. But you need to continuously educate yourself, dude. You gotta read on new laws. You gotta read new policy enactments. You have to see, is this area a flood zone? Because there's a lot of people in Ian where we were doing work and their house technically to the carrier flooded, even though they had wind damage. So since their house flooded, we didn't get paid because they didn't have flood insurance because the carrier it was a flood. When you can see 40 missing shingles on that fucking roof. You gotta educate yourself on a home. Hey, do you have flood insurance? Oh, you don't? Do you have FEMA? What do you have here? Because FEMA, their limit is $3,000. So if you do, you can demo a house for FEMA, they're gonna pay you $3,000, dude. They're not paying you more than $3,000.
Right. Yeah.
So it's one of these things where continuous education. It doesn't matter what you are.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Having people like you out there doing what you're doing, staying, ahead of the curve, listening to, we got your ear to the ground. I mean, that's the best that we can just hope for, is just everybody's going to be listening and communicating. And I think if we all do, we'll have the best advantage we possibly can as the kind of hit these curveballs. We're not creating the environment that we're in, whether that be weather or the economics of what we do, or at least you and I aren't. I don't believe that that's the case. And I think that as we kind of progress and we kind of go along, I think there's going to be a lot of attrition in those companies as far as like finding that the market's not really sustainable to do that. And I hope that when those changes come down, that either they get better what they're doing or they decide to do something else. Because there's guys out there who are like you and I, and women out there who are like you and I, who just want to come out here, do an honest day's job, make some money, make the best money that possibly could, deliver an A+ product, and go home and look their spouse or significant other in the eye and know that they did a good thing.
Of course, man. That's the goal here, man. Again, look, anyone doing roofing, anyone doing fire remediation, whatever it is you're doing in this industry of insurance, of course you want to make a buck. Who doesn't, right? But at the end of the day, it's the homeowner. If you do a good job by them, that's how you get the referral. That's how the PA says, wow, this guy's not a bullshitter. He did a good job for me. That's how the attorney says, oh man, this guy's negotiable. I'll send him more jobs because he's negotiable. That's how the roofing guy, Adam Pollins, I did a shrink wrap for him. So I met him, did a shrink wrap for him, did my best for him. I mean, didn't have to go out there once to repair it. And so here we are a year and a half later, we're still working together. It's one of these things where just do good work. Just do good work. Be fair, be reasonable. And again, just don't try to, I want the whole pot. If you're getting 20% of the pot, you're getting something of the pot. It doesn't have to be 100%. You're getting something, Yeah,
just keep it moving, man. That's all of it. I mean, on both sides of the fence, everybody remembers each other, man. I see adjusters all the time. I know, worked with one of them.
Oh shit, how you doing, man? It's been a while. Hey, can we do the same, same price we did last time? Oh, it's pushing it. I know, but sure, buddy, for you, I'll do it. It's just being on good terms with people. Again, the insurance company, sure, they might be difficult. They might be a pain in the ass. They are not Satan, bro. They're just looking out for, guess what they're looking out? Their bottom fucking dollar.
Yeah. Same as us.
These people. Same as us. Just be negotiable. Be negotiable. Be able to work with them. Don't say, well, I built $32,000 for 80 square shrink wrap. I want $32,000. Dude, negotiate. That way they remember you. Do you ever get that adjuster again? They're going to say, oh shit, see restoration. These guys negotiate with me. Why not? I'll get paid.
Yeah, probably pay you faster too,
And they'll pay you faster.
If you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to be that one person who your file goes to the bottom of the stack because you're a dick.
Dude, there's the rumor. We've heard this rumor for years. I don't know if it's true. There's the rumor that all the carriers have the blacklist, and if you're on that blacklist, you're fucked.
I'll say this, man. I know they don't. I don't know if they have a blacklist or not, but I will say this, and I know this for a fact. I know they talk to each other because look, a lot of people they start. Try meeting an an adjuster who, and you probably will, but how often is it where they were a contractor first, or they were a desk adjuster first, or they were in the underwriting side of
Now they're a
they're
field agent.
they were
Exactly.
agent, now they're a field agent, right? And they might not even be that, maybe, or might not even be their last stop there. They're going to end up as a desk adjuster, or so they all communicate. And when they see certain names, I mean, how in their market, right? In a certain market, if they're not CAD adjusters, which, some of them are that have that
Um,
tenure, but, most of the time they're working in the same markets. You see the same faces, especially in Georgia, dude. I used to see the same 20 adjusters all the time. Down
dude,
here, a little less so because they're coming from out of state a little bit more frequently, but
but there's a Tower Hill guy where every hurricane that hits Florida, or every tropical thing that hits Florida, anything
mhm,
over 60 miles per hour, there's a Tower Hill guy I always fucking see. And he's super nice. He's
mhm,
one of my favorite discussers. He's negotiable. He's not a
yeah.
bullshitter. He's like, "This is what I got for you, buddy. Take it or
I
leave it."
I got a USAA adjuster that I see in my market all the time. I see him on a bunch, and super solid dude, great guy. I actually want to get him on the podcast. He was like, "Man, I don't know if there's much I'd have to contribute." I'm like, "Wait, are you shitting me?" Like we talked for 20 minutes. I'm like, "You got a wealth of knowledge."
It's
Yeah,
the other side. It's learning what insurance companies want to see from us to get paid
yeah,
quicker and get paid properly. Because again, I think the
yeah.
carriers
That's
are just jaded, dude. They're really jaded with everyone else trying to pull a roof
yeah,
scam, a water pipe scam.
yeah, dude. And honestly, I've seen people do it. And I've heard of people doing it, and I'm like, there's a lot of bullshit fucking public adjusters out there too that are just they're
Everybody,
I know they're flipping shingles. I know that they're calling in false claims, shit like that. And it's like, dude, I don't want any part of that. But you know,
correct.
the adjusters to kind of put a button on that is that the adjusters, they want valid claims too. They don't want you calling in bullshit so they can come out there and try and find whatever the fuck they can. They don't want you. They want somebody who knows what they're talking about. They're out there. You're not going to be up there 40 minutes before fucking the roof up, so that nobody
Correct.
wants to be in that situation. I don't want them in that situation because
Yeah,
I don't want the good, decent folks that are doing that side of the business. I don't want them to get flushed out or leave because they feel like there's nobody with integrity left. Like
correct.
I want everybody to be basically on the same page. Like it,
Dude, yeah. Again, that's why I like working with people like you. I mean, again, us at Sea Restoration, we just want to work with people who are filing legit claims. You know what I mean? I don't want to go to a roof and shrink wrap it, and then in the depot they tell me, "Oh, there's two missing shingles, or there's not that much damage here." And it's like,
right,
dude, the PA's told me I'm not a licensed roofer, man. Legally, I
right,
can't inspect the roof. I could just shrink wrap it. So for
right,
me, if the PA telling me it's fucked up, I gotta go off him.
right,
And
right.
that's the thing. Looking like a dumbass in front of the carrier hurts our credibility. Because then it's just, oh well, these guys that do a shrink wrap, they don't give a shit. And at the end
Yeah,
of the day, I want to do work with somebody who at least had a roofer inspected, or if the PA has knowledge of it, at least they inspected it and they're sure. I don't need 100%. If you're 80%, 70% sure it's damaged, we'll do it, man. But again, don't sign bullshit, man. Again, this is an industry where if you're signing bullshit, they will catch on, and
mhm,
you will get ran out of town quick.
yeah,
You'll get
yeah,
caught. You will.
yeah. No, it's a
There,
good fucking point, man.
dude. There's like
Well,
great
look,
example.
well,
So
look, dude, we did 2 hours, a little bit more than 2 hours.
this is
I
great.
definitely.
This is great. This is great.
Well, listen, let's wrap it up. Why don't you tell everybody how they can reach you? What's the best way to get in contact with you? And tell them a little bit more about who you guys are, and we leave that as the final touches, man. I appreciate you
Appreciate
so
it.
much, man. I thank you for coming on.
Anything
We're
for you, brother.
we're gonna do this again for sure. I know that there's gonna be some other stuff. I'm gonna learn more stuff, and then I'm gonna, of course, want to throw it in
Dude,
all around with you.
you need me to be a weekly guest for you? I don't care, bro. I love you, man. I always do anything for you, bro. Anything
Appreciate
for
you,
you.
man. I love you too,
For
dude.
you. For
No,
sure.
hell
All
yeah.
right. So to wrap it up, guys, I've been Adam Bouchti, with Sea Restoration Construction. If you need anything, shrink wrap, water mitigation, mold remediation, fire remediation, anything you need regarding your house, you can reach me at 301-979-1596. Again, my number is 301-979-1596. We do good work. We're honest. We'll refer you to anybody that, if we can't help you, we got an attorney, we got a roofer here for you, we got a PA for you, we got anybody that will help you, and they'll do honest work for you too. We just want to help out the homeowner here. All right.
Yeah, and these all over Florida too, man. So
Look, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, all those states. We're there.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, brother.
Appreciate that.
Hey, it was good talking to you. Later, buddy.
Always good to see you, man. I'll see you.
All right, later, bro.